Hey, before I kick off the podcast, I just want to shout out Next Door Clothing. Next Door, a clothing brand based out of Bondi in Sydney. They're making really nice jeans and shirts and hats. So go and check out their full range at nextdoorsydney.com. They're also artists, so you can go and check out a range of art. They put on rad parties, and I love what they're doing. So nextdoorsydney.com for the full range. Hey, it's Shan here. This week I speak with Gordo Auchinachie. So it was an interesting week this week, and the episode was different. We went on a big mission out to find Gordo. Big shout out to this week's co-host Darren Caney, who basically orchestrated the whole podcast, I think. He found Gordo, made contact and sort of lined it all up. He also organised a rad hike for the three of us to do to this beautiful mountain range called the Warren Bungles, and we did that, on the day of the podcast. And Darren and I actually stayed at Gordo's property for a couple of nights in an old caravan that Gordo was actually in the process of renovating, and it was freezing cold at night, and we were staying in this dodgy caravan that, let's just say, didn't really have much insulation, and it was just kind of like a bit of a rugged trip. And in the end, I was so glad I did it. I think I went into it with a bit of apprehension purely because my mental state wasn't in the best place. I was my mental health was a bit low, if I'm straight. Had some busy stuff going on at work, had some bad sleep. So I guess my optimism was a bit low. But in the end, I was just so glad that we did it because Gordon's story is quite profound. It's definitely a redemptive tale. Those that know Gordo or knew Gordo from that era in the 90s and early 2000s will know that he was quite a predominant character in the Australian skate scene, especially around Sydney of that time. He was an amazing skateboarder. He was also the editor of Skateboarding Australia. He also made one of the most, profound and prolific skate videos of that time for Australia anyway. It was called Plebs. It featured some of the best skateboarders in Australia of that time, and the way he put it together was quite progressive and engaging and just really significant. It was good to hear his story. Gordo's had an interesting life. He's had a life of all extremes, the highs and the lows, and he's really open to talking about it. And to see where he is in life right now compared to 20 years ago, which was around the last time I seen him, I was presented very much with a different Gordo than I remember. I was faced with a Gordon that was kind and had a gentleness about him. And, the Gordo I used to know, I must admit, and I said this to him, that I was kind of weary of. He was like a bit of a reckless character, unpredictable at times. He was fun. He'd do some crazy shit that kept everyone laughing and doing it for the boys kind of guy. But he goes into where it sort of led him and what got him to where he is now. So I really hope you enjoy it. And again, shout out to Darren for basically orchestrating and organising this episode. And it was a fun mission. And enjoy getting to know Mr. Gordo Auchinachie, everybody. Terrible happy talks. Terrible happy talks.
Yeah, good to be here, man. Whoa. Put on pearl.
Submissive dominant lifestyle.
3, 2, 1. Alright, do this.
Yeah, and I just won that skate comp. I didn't win it. I tied with Chad Barty.
No way.
In 95, the surf diving ski comp.
In the Horde Pavilion?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Oh man, I got to tell you about that. That was funny.
Why?
Because it was just bizarre how it happened. Because you get 2 runs in the final, but I didn't get in I skated I withheld myself and just to skate consistently and just to land stuff and air the car and hit all the things and just to get into the final, to not just try and do hard stuff and fall off. And I knew, I'm a bit of a judge myself. I've been going to these comps since I was a little kid. And the judges was Glenn Scott, Jad Ford, Mick Mulhall, and the commentator was Nathan Ho, who's my flatmate.
Yeah.
And they read out the 10 people in the final, and they didn't read my name out. And I was like, what? And I thought because they knew me, they thought, oh, they probably scored me hard or didn't want to look biased or something like that. And so I went up into the bleachers, you know, the seats around the Horden, and proceeded to punch about 6 bongs. Had this tiny little orchie. And then this little kid comes running up. And he's like, Glenn wants to speak to you. Because he was sponsoring me for Criminal.
Yeah.
He's wondering why I wasn't warming up before the final.
Yeah, right.
And I thought, oh no, like, then I was like, oh no, I'm not going to be in it, am I? And I go up there and Glenn goes, why aren't you warming up? I go, Hobag didn't read my name out. And then Chad and Mick both turned around and go, you qualified second or something.
He just forgot to read your name.
Yeah, something, I don't know. And I went, man, I've just smoked 6 bongs and I was really bummed out. And then Glenn's like, what? He's like, are you still going to go in it? And I went, yeah. And
And so...
and I was up there, you know, where the judges are up on the stage. And then I just stood there and I was so stoned. I just wanted to stand there and work out a line around the course. And without tricks or anything, because I wanted to end up going off the stage down this handrail. I'd been holding up my sleeve for the final, 7 stair. But from the open side, where, you know, there's a little drop, it doesn't make much difference. But I wanted to start on the stage and then ended up back on the stage. And so I hadn't really worked out that line. And I was so stoned, not even with any tricks involved. Just like, okay, you go off here, and then what are you going to hit? Hit that. And then, and it was just, I had to concentrate so much just to try and work out where I was going to go. And, you know, I worked out a line, and it wasn't that great. It didn't include the car, you know, I'd already hit the car and that. And that didn't really fit into where I wanted to go. And then, I had one run and melee off the stage and then a really sketchy front 180, which I was meant to do it perfectly, so I still had speed to go up and do a fakie trick on the quarter.
Yeah, right.
But I sort of, you know, the wheels sort of stuck a bit and I wasn't going as fast as I was meant to. I went to do a fakie ollie to Decker, you know?
Yeah.
And it was just all sketched out and I just landed fakie Decker. It was just such a fizzer. And then I went to hit the backside, you know, little pyramid hip, which is something I always had. I could do kickies over those backside pyramid hips. I had it down. But I was kind of trying to conserve energy in that too, because I had some little tricks at the end I wanted to do. I didn't want to use up all my energy.
Yeah.
I did the sketchiest kickflip I've ever done, where I'm almost like, my front foot's almost straight on the board and my back foot's like going to land off the side like I'm on roller skates or something. I just managed to just get my back foot onto the edge of my board and just land it. I'm like, how did I land that? It was so sketchy. It wasn't popped. And then I just did a sketchy backside 180 on the... It wasn't sketchy, but it was just pretty mediocre on the...
Over the car?
No, just on the flat bank, just to turn around. Just ollied over the wedge to wedge. And then I did this backside heel flip on the flat bank on the other end of the, you know, whatever you call it, auditorium or whatever it is. And that was massive. I got the super pop, I got the right, you know, because flat banks, you know, but sometimes you just get it right and it just levitates. Yeah. And I just hovered, I just did this heel flip that just levitated. And I was like, oh, yes. All right. And then I just did a backside tail slide to fakie and with a quick setup into a...
Sorry, I'm just going to adjust that mic a bit. There we go.
Into a switch kicky.
Yeah, you're good.
You know, like you do the backside tail slide to fakie and all you do is drag your leading foot back.
Yeah.
Like it didn't move around, just landed, moved my foot back, switch kicky, like a minimal foot movement. So that was cool, but like it caught, you know, when your board catches like on an angle too early, it caught like that, but I just handled it. So it was still look all right. And then just flicked my board up, went on the stage, and went to do the 7-stair handrail, and then my board snapped on landing it. And then I just picked it up, and there was this DJ on the corner. So I'm over on the side of the stage. It was going off the side. So I just threw my board like a big helicopter over the DJ. He's ducking. It went out in the middle of the auditorium. And when it hit the ground, it just snapped in two. And then, Hobag instantly gave me a free board award for, spectacular board snap.
That's hilarious, dude.
And I wasn't going to beat that run. I pretty much landed everything. I was so stoned, I just went and sat down and, didn't do the second run.
No way.
And, they just take your best run anyway. And I was one of the first people, so I just sat there and just watched the whole comp and...
Drop the mic, as they say.
And and tied with Chad Barty, because he was a comp machine back then too, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was skating really good, a lot of power, doing these massive heelys and stuff. But he probably sketched out, fell off or something. It makes a big difference to fall off.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I had a sketchy run, but I had some good tricks at the end, and that was good enough. But it wasn't good enough to beat him. But we tied, and I thought that was fair. But see, normally you don't have a tie for first. Like they'll make you do a skate out or something like that.
Mm.
And that happened with a comp in Bondi, where Wade and I both tied for first, and we'd been skating all day, and then they're like, "Oh, you guys going to do a skate out?" And I just,
Like another run each. Is that what it was?
yeah,
skate off.
yeah. Which we probably should have done it, and we probably should have done it tandem, skated together or something,
Yeah.
and just had fun with it. But I was a bit over it, and I just said, "Oh, Wade won then," And then Chad Ford's going, "You're the best sport in Australian skateboarding," and I was like, "Really?" I was just a bit over it.
Yeah.
And Wade skated really good. He had kickflip 5-0s in his runs and stuff back then in, what was that, 90?
92 probably. That one at Bondi Pavilion.
Yeah, it was maybe 94 or something.
Yeah, amazing.
And, but then, so I don't know if that had an effect later on, because if they said, "Oh, he's got to do a skate out," "Oh no, he'll just give it to Chad." But, Wade was my homie. I wouldn't give it to Chad Barty. I would have done the skate out.
Yeah.
So classic, dude.
Yeah, but I don't know if that had any effect, because you normally don't tie for
No,
first.
I've never heard of it. No.
Yeah.
Never heard of a tie.
Yeah, so it was...
What'd you win? For just a split?
They had hardly anything left. They already gave me the deck, and I just won a shirt and some wheels or something.
Right. That's how good the prizes were back then.
Yeah, they'd run out of stuff, but that got me sponsored by Arnett, by Volcom.
That was my next question. So yeah, where did it take you to? And then do you think because you then became a sponsored skateboarder, it sort of put you in line to get that editor's position?
Not really. I think it was just because Nick knew me and I was already writing stuff for him. It was just convenient.
Right place at the right time.
Yeah, and I'd made plebs. He knew I was passionate about skating, that I was producing videos and stuff because I loved it, and he just thought, I had a degree, so it was easy to convince the publisher to hire me, in visual arts, which I never really had to use or tell him, but he probably just told him. Or
but you could write an essay.
That might help.
You knew how to write an essay and put an article together.
Yeah, so, I don't know why. You'd have to ask Nick Farris. It was really all him that handed it to me. And
where did you grow up again? What suburb?
in Mossman.
How would you describe your childhood in that area?
It was awesome. It was great. We used to, go snorkeling and sailing and, bike riding. There's heaps of hills around there, so,
Nice.
I'd be billy carting down hills and coming on. And
Some good spots at Mossman High too, was it?
Yeah, later on, when it was good for skateboarding. Yeah, there was lots of little spots everywhere.
Like the trajectory though, before skateboarding, I just wanted to sort of, just get an idea of what, those early days were like. It was just doing those things and going to school in the area. And did you have a lot of little homies you used to hang with and stuff? And
Yeah. I went there since kindy, but then when I was 9, I went to London and went to school at Holland Park, West 11. I don't think the school was in Holland Park, but we lived in Holland Park.
Did you?
But, yeah, and it was really rough. I was only 9 and getting punched out and stuff by little kids that were 10 and doing boxing training and little Cockney kids and stuff. But
So why'd you just move there?
oh, my uncle had a flat there, and he was renting, but then he was sub-renting it to people. And when we went there, these people, they weren't paying their rent. And luckily, like when the police came, they moved out because there's laws in England where it's hard to get people out if they want to squat in a place. And but you know, they saw this mum with 2 kids, and you know, probably just thought, oh, okay, you know. But this flat was there. She just wanted to go overseas, and she loves England, so we just went and lived there for 9 months. And I didn't really like it, but I think it helped to sort of it helped toughen me up a bit, and I really got into soccer.
Did you?
So it was really good for, you know, athletic wise and skill wise.
Playing and watching?
Oh, just playing it.
Yeah, right.
Morning, lunchtime, recess time, after school, Saturday.
Is the mic all right? Yeah.
You go out to dinner, you kick it up the street, it's non-stop.
Yeah, right.
The ball was glued to my foot because in England they don't really care who you are, where you're from, what you look like. If you can play football, no one hassles you. So it was kind of a way to, like, I don't know, survive and not be, you know, hassled and bullied and stuff.
Yeah, right, man.
And I remember one day there was this kid that didn't realise that I was getting pretty good.
Sorry, Gordo, I keep like pointing at the mic, like talking to the microphone. Just a bit hard to hear. Are you comfy?
Yeah.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, brother.
That's all
Keep
right.
going. It's just like one of those things.
Oh, but yeah, no, it was really good. Then I came back to Australia, and it was just, you know, kids here, they practice on a Wednesday and have a game on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And I'd been playing 24 hours a day for 9 months, and so I was just running rings around people. I loved it. I love soccer then. I'd go over a game on Saturday. What position you play? Centre forward, okay. And you get, well, sometimes they had one that, yeah, I'd be in midfield or something. And I preferred midfield. You could have more effect on the game, but yeah, just loved it because it was a lot of fun. You know, soccer was a great game.
And you just moved back to Mossman?
Yeah, I moved back. Yeah.
Straight back to Mossman?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I guess, yeah, like, so when did you find a skateboard? Like, who gave you your first one?
Oh, I think my dad bought me this little $10 plastic one, and then my brother showed me how to push, but he showed me how to push with the wrong foot. With the
Mongo Town.
Mongo push, which was good because, you know, later on I learnt how to push normal, but then I could push switch.
Switch, yeah.
So
I started Mongo as well.
really,
Yep. Had to train myself out of it.
Why do you reckon it's like a lot of people are inclined to start Mongo? Why?
Don't know. I didn't question it. I was just like, I'm pushing my skateboard. I didn't even realise there was 2 different ways to do it. Did you? You don't think about those sort of things, you know?
no. Yeah, so my brother must have been a natural Mongo as well because he's just teaching me the way he did it.
Yeah, and I didn't even understand there was goofy and regular foot. My cousin's like,
Really?
dude, you stand the wrong way on your skateboard. I'm like, what? I was like, oh my God, I do. Because he was goofy footed, you know? Like, and I was like, wait a second. I checked it out in the magazines. I'm like, everyone's doing it differently. I'm okay. I honestly thought I was doing it backwards.
Did ya?
Yeah, it's weird.
That's so weird.
My little story there.
Yeah.
So-
Mongo.
Mongo. So you started pushing Mongo.
And a little plastic board.
Nice. And then just fell in love.
I'd like set up a ramp with a bit of floppy masonite on a cardboard box and like sit on my board and bomb a hill and try and go off this jump that just collapsed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I was sort of a couple of failed like jump constructions.
So yeah, then high school in Mossman as well. Those days were good. Pretty cruisy.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good suburb. It was a good place. Good kids. I mean, later on there was, you know, a bit of a bad element, but They were kind of cool in the end as well. They weren't too bad.
Like, what were your family like? Are your family originally from Mossman area, or did they move there from somewhere? Like your mum and your dad, and all that vibe.
Yeah. Well, my dad grew up in Lane Cove, and my mum grew up in Manly.
Yeah.
So they did live in Mossman a lot before that. Like, yeah, they had a place in further down in Mossman, and then Spofforth Street.
Is that the one going towards the zoo?
Spofford. I know that street, yeah.
Yeah, so that was where I was when I was born. I think that was my first house I lived in.
Remind me to tell you a story about that street. I know that street.
And after
the podcast.
My first pet was Boots.
Boots.
So, but my porn name is Boots Spoof-Off. That's what I'm
So was Boots a cat?
No, it was a little dog.
Dog.
Yeah.
Boots, Spoff. That's pretty epic.
He had white feet.
We'll start calling you Boots from now on. Or Spoff.
Spoffeth. I think that's how it's pronounced, Spoffeth.
Yeah.
But Spoffoth sounds better.
Well, but we used to call it Spoof Off, so I just go with that.
Yeah, sounds better.
Like, when did you start like venturing into the city for little skate missions, searching out spots? Because it's so close from there. Really, you just get on a bus and or a ferry, and you're there.
Yeah, it was a bit of a mish on the skatey. I'd done it on the bike and that, but it was with there was a whole crew of skaters. We were lucky, Wade and I, that we had all these guys a couple of years older than me and 4 years older than him. But there was a whole crew of these guys with Dominic Gonzalez, Dave Gardner, Ali Edwards, Dwayne Hyde. It was pretty big in the sort of mid-'80s at our school.
Yeah.
It was a good crew, and so we'd go into the city with them and hit all these spots, hit the craters, and, we'd be down at Circular Quay and Dominic would board slide 2 benches with a gap between them somehow, just go that far with rails, and you wouldn't understand how he didn't hang up.
Oh, wow.
But he just went so fast. But that night, we skated through King's Cross, and everyone's cheering us all these drunk people on the street, and I'm just a little kid, skating through the cross and loving it. It was getting the attention. Yeah, it was good. That was sort of the first time I can remember.
Really? And you just got like continuously drawn back to it, and just sort of cracks open like a range of possibilities and spots and.
Yeah, later on, but we used to more go skate North Sydney.
Okay.
On a Sunday, that was just.
That's right there.
Skate heaven. There was no one there. It was a ghost town, and no hassles.
It was so good.
It was just empty.
Was it?
Yeah.
Is that where you'd go to, Dad?
We used to skate there all the time. Yeah. Yeah, it was like you said, it was a ghost town. No one was around. Everything was closed.
Yeah, right.
You'd see some like some graffiti dudes running around here and there. They'd give you grief every now and again, wouldn't they? Remember?
Yeah, I never really got hassled.
Yeah. The bombers.
Bombers, that's right.
Yeah,
they wear their hats high.
Yeah. But they were just bored as well. They just hassled the skaters because
they're street dwellers like us.
Yeah, that's it.
But it was great because you start at the top of, Walker Street. You start up at Stanton and all that, and then you work your way down, and there's spots all the way down.
Yeah, right.
You could hit, and you'd get a bit of a circuit going, and it was just there's so many spots and really good stuff.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, really interesting.
There's nothing there anymore. I went there the other weekend. It's so barren for spots. Yeah.
I like skate stoppers and caps. And
stuff.
It's
just they're all onto it. The architecture's like they know what skaters want to skate, and they don't build it anymore, unfortunately. But
so crazy. Yeah, and then some architects are making stuff for skateboarding. I don't know, and don't realise they're doing it. But I guess, you're right. They're all onto it now, right? Yeah, man. I don't know about you guys, but I'm super zoned out after hiking through that beautiful state park today. So, what's it called again, Daz?
It's called the Warrumbungle National Park.
The Warrumbungle.
And the bread knife walk is what we did today, yeah.
Yeah, so pretty out here in the country of
amazing.
Sort of New South Wales, Australia, like the West, which is where you live now, and cooler.
Yep.
So, how's that transition from predominantly being a city kid to now, you know, in your later years out in the country? How do you find the transition?
Well, I sort of Mum bought a place in Ilford near Mudgee when I was 10, and we used to go up on weekends or for holidays, and then she eventually retired there, and then when things sort of fell apart for me, I'd sort of fall back to Mum's place in Ilford and live there, and she was raising my nephew and that, so, you know, I'd have him there and that, and so, yeah, I started really by just hanging out at Ilford, and it's really nice there, and had great neighbours and that, and so that was my first introduction to the country. And, you know, I had friends in Mudgee and Pyramore and different places and Rolleston and stuff. So, yeah, start. But I'd always want to go down to Sydney and see people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd always do missions to Sydney. I couldn't keep away from Sydney for too long.
Yeah. Still got some pretty solid friends that you connect with from your early days?
Yeah.
Or more newer Sydney friends?
Yeah, more newer people. You know, I had this really good old friend I knew since kindy, and he got epilepsy, and then he ended up having a bad incident and ended up in intensive care, and he was kind of like just completely lost it, and we thought, you know, he was almost like a vegetable or something, but then he sort of came good, and my friend Ben, and I still remained friends with him and for years and years, but then one time I left it a bit long to see him, and he was like, I rang him up and I go, Ben, how you going? And he's like, he didn't want to see me, you know, because he's like, he was really upset that I hadn't called him in so long.
Right.
And then recently I just found out he died, and his brother's not talking to me, and I haven't seen, you know, spoke to his mum or anything, and it was pretty sad to hear that he died, because, you know, he looked like me. The teachers all thought we were twins and stuff, and we used to muck up so much in kindy that they had to put us in different classes. And, yeah, it's sort of a sad story, but yeah, he died. I think he died of bowel cancer or something. So, yeah, he was my oldest sort of homie.
Yeah. It's a hard reality, that, isn't it? As we get older, people start passing away.
Yeah.
How would you say you manage, like, dealing with, like, loss and grief like that?
Well, I just have, you know, just think about him, think about his dad. I've just been thinking about, you know, the old times, and just sort of going back and reliving some times and thinking about it, and it doesn't really get me too sad. It's just, you know, I wish I'd sort of stayed his friend, because I remember early on, he used to be the super cool kid, you know, when this happened. He was already like 13 or 14, had a really nice girlfriend and everything before everyone. And then this thing happened to him. And then no one wanted to know him, you know, because he was he was all right, but he was a little bit slow. And you know, I just wanted to always be his mate. I'd had people come up to me where he'd be telling them at the RSL, they'd be hearing his story. You know, younger guys that had just met him, because he used to just hang at the RSL a lot and play snooker. And they'd tell him, oh, you know, Gordo's like the only person who ever stuck by me, and he's still been my mate and all this. But then, you know, I was all caught up in everything, you know, with the magazine and skating and just running life and girlfriends and living over on the east side, and just, left it a bit long to catch up with him, which, you know, it really hurt his feelings. So, you know, and I just left it at that. I'm like, well, if you don't want to see me, you know, you don't have to. But, yeah, so that was sad, but, you know.
At peace with it now?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry to bring that up, but it's just, yeah, it's interesting.
Well, there's not much you can do about it now. So, you know, you just got to carry on and maybe, you know, appreciate people that are around you more, and, you know, give them that time, see how they're going.
Yeah.
Give them a call.
So when you finished high school, did you go straight to university?
Yeah.
Yeah. What'd you do at uni?
Visual arts, Bachelor of Arts.
Nice. In Sydney?
No,
Newcastle, that's right. Nice one. Good times?
Yeah, it was good. It was good. Yeah.
Did you focus on video production as the visual art aspect?
Yeah,
or?
in my third year, you
Right.
could, sort of specialise, and I just did the video as the major specialty, whatever you call it.
Because you had an affinity for that from a young age. You did that at high school as well, or is that?
I started in Japan when I lived in Tokyo when I was about 16. I went to this international school, and on the train I met this kid who was going to the same school. This American dude, and he skated, and we're both thinking, oh yeah, like, you skate, but like,
Yeah.
but like, and he's talking about the launch ramp he's made and that, and I was really interested and I was stoked. But I was sort of telling him, you got to get the training right and that, mate, like, But then...
Just feeling each other out.
Yeah, we organised this big skate. We're all meeting up, like, on a Saturday or something, and there was all other dudes there and that. And we're just waiting to show off to each other, and he was really good.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. Like, he had every magazine, every video. He knew how... He's actually a genius. He was, got 99.99 in his SAT score later on.
Right.
I never realised all this. I never even realised he was getting straight A, perfect grade A, and was the top student in the school because he wore punk gear and like corrosion of conformity T-shirts with ripped camo pants and,
Wow.
those old school suede airwalks
Yeah.
Oh, they were the best.
Yeah.
with the cover on them.
The lace saver.
Lace saver.
Yeah.
Whose idea was that, hey?
Probably Tony Hawk.
Yeah, when you knee slide,
Yeah, it was,
when you knee slide
yeah.
down a vert ramp, yeah.
And so that's like my dad had a video. I was over there, so I moved over there to stay with Dad because I grew up with Mum, in Mossman, and they had a video camera, and Jeff's always go, let's go flim.
Flim?
Every day, after school, let's flim. And it was fun because you just film yourself even if you're just doing a nose wheelie or something, and you could slow it down and that, and you could see how you're skating. Yeah.
Exactly.
And it was just really interesting because I'm going, wow, I'm actually seeing what I look like, seeing my style, and it really helps you to improve.
Still does to this day. I learned a trick the other day from watching myself on film,
Like feedback, visual feedback.
Yeah, it does help. It's in your shoulders. A lot of skating's in your shoulders, and you don't realise that because you're always looking at your feet and your legs, and you're bored, and you're not thinking about your torso and your shoulders. And I saw that clearly.
Yeah, there you go. Do you think that's why kids are getting good so quick these days? Because like everything's filmed and they're always watching themselves.
That for sure, and
Must be.
the quality of facilities they've got to use as well.
That's a big one, eh?
Like Coolar Skate Park, it's a quality construction. Actually, really is.
Virtually unused.
Yeah, no one's touched it yet. It's been there 18 months.
18 months?
I don't know, probably.
How long has it been there? 18 months, Gordo?
I'd say it's been there at least a year
Okay.
minimum.
We got a board. You set up a new board here, so
Yep.
we want to see some scratch marks on those rails next time we come.
Yep, I'll go and do it up. Do up the locals.
Yeah.
Show them up on their scooters.
Have you seen any actual skateboarders here other than yourself?
No, but I've heard of
You've heard stories?
rumours. Yeah.
There's a whisper.
Yeah, the local Ambo gets into it.
Yeah. Does your mate Space skate?
No, I think he has done, but he's got a messed up leg. He got run over by a forklift or something.
Oh,
No way. It's not even funny.
But he did used to skate. He's told me stories.
Yeah, right.
He did, but he doesn't. But he could, I guess. He got good payout for the injury. Like it sort of worked out, I guess.
Yeah, right.
He handles pretty good, but yeah, I don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Is he coming around?
Maybe I'll set him up a board.
Well, there's a board in town now. There's at least one. And
Yeah,
there's a
yeah.
skate park. So
Yeah, you could use
you can
mine.
prove it, yeah.
you can rent it out.
That's it.
You got to be the first person to board slide the rails there. I don't think anyone's touched them.
Yeah, well,
They're like
I might
pristine.
might need a little bit of wax.
Yeah.
Just don't tell anyone. I just don't want to stick and slam on the... I did that once in my first skate comp. It was a horror show. I remember just slapping on everything. and they'd put two we used to call them rock and slides.
Yeah, with the PVC coping thing, the double
Oh, this
barrel
was
thing.
like some kind of wooden thing. It was pretty low, but they'd join two together, and I got heaps of speed. So I was going to board slide both of them, and I just hit the gap in the middle and just slapped slapped on top of it every trick. Because I was so nervous, I was trying to do stuff I couldn't even do. That I've never landed. Like these 360 varials I was working on, and it's just slap on everything.
Where was this?
Olds Park in 1987.
Oh, dude,
Yeah, right.
Alloa. On the Alloa.
Yeah. Oh, well, I don't know.
Hurstville.
I'm not sure. But Chad Ford was there, and he was paying me out. Going, this slap, that slap, rock and slap. But I came last or whatever, and I thought, oh, well, that wasn't so bad,
Yeah.
And then the next comp I went in, I didn't really care. I go, well, I could come last. I don't care.
There's room for improvement.
Yeah, and it just made me much more settled down for the next one. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, dude. So funny to hear those stories. Olds Park has come up in this podcast a fair bit. That people always talk about that place. It was like there and Alloa Bowl were just pretty much the first of the first around Sydney, weren't they?
Well, I heard a lot about
Some
Alloa,
skate
but
spots.
Olds Park, I only heard about it I only went there that one day. But it looked like it had been there a long time.
Yeah, right.
There's two big steel quarters and a lot of concrete.
Original. Yeah.
Well, steel quarter pipe and steel, like, mini ramp sort of.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a weird setup. So you went to like Newcastle Uni and that was pretty rad, and then you graduated uni. Where'd you go from there?
I don't know, it's just sort of moved into like Annandale with Hobag, and Davo was living there at some stage, and I had some work at Surf Dive and Ski and bits and pieces like that, and
How long did that Annandale place for?
oh,
Because I went round there a few times.
probably a couple of years.
Yeah. It was a bit of a halfway house for visiting skateboarders from all over the place, right?
Yeah, we had Shane Wallace there for a while, but he was awesome. He
Yeah.
was, it was great having him. Yeah. Yeah, a few people stay in that. And then Justin Balmain lived there, but that all sort of came to an end.
How did that end? Is that a story? I've heard this.
Yeah, with a guy attempting to murder my mate, and then
What?
me bashing the guy with nunchuckers. And then nearly, getting charged with assault with a deadly weapon or something.
Oh, what?
Are you skilled with a pair of nunchucks, or where did you get these from?
Oh, I bought them when I was like 12 years old, when I was in the Bruce Lee movies,
Yeah, okay.
or Kung Fu movies.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
And I mail ordered it in a magazine, and it was like $20 or $25. I just sent cash in an envelope,
Rad.
and they sent me these nummies.
Where from? China or something?
No, from Victoria. They were
Yeah, right.
they were legal there,
Oh, okay.
and just this martial arts magazine. And I had to go pick them up from Spit Junction post office,
What?
which wasn't near my post office.
Yeah, right.
So on the way home, I've gone past Surf Dive and Ski with them, and they're in the brown paper. They just got brown paper around them, with the sticky tape. And Julian Athos, Chris Athos and Julian, who own Surfection, they were there. I remember it was Chris Athos. They said, "What do you got there, kid?" I go, "Oh, they're nunchuckers." He said, "Give us a look." And he pulled them out, he swung them around, just smashed himself in the head.
Everyone does.
And then he just...
My
and then he
only
just-
memories of those things.
Yeah, the smile left his face, and he just gave them straight back to me. Because they were oak, octagonal, swivel bearing. Yeah.
So, why? Like, can I ask why? Why did that guy want to kill your friend?
Oh, because he pissed the guy off to no end. Like,
Okay.
it wasn't... It was sort of, like, understandable. Like, people can only be pushed so far, But the thing is like, even though he got a punch in the head, he deserved that. But, like, he didn't deserve to die, Like, and everyone else is just standing around, and I'm like, this
Were
guy...
they actually fighting when it happened? Like, they're in a punch
Well,
up, or he was bashing.
He
your
was just
friend?
getting bashed, yeah.
So what? You just fucking Bruce Lee'd him with the.
Well, across the road from that house was like an old farmhouse in Annandale, like just down from Annandale, down White.
Near that
Booth
raceway?
Street, and turn right at White Street there. And across the road from our house, it was like an old farmhouse. Like there used to be like farmland there, not that. Well, I don't know, maybe.
In the 90s?
No, I mean you'd be going back a bit probably, but this property for some reason it just sat there and not changed. Like it was a big bit of property, and it had like a proper old school barn. You know, you're right in the middle of the city. There's this big barn and everything, and there was these kids up in the attic of the barn, leaning out the window, and you know they're only about 9 or 10 or something, you know, and because of them, we're like, oh, what? There's a barn across the road. What is that place? And then Nathan told us the story. Oh, that's an abandoned house. It's been abandoned for years. And I thought, really? And never knew it was there. And, you know, I said, let's go check it out. And so me and Noobs went over there. And we had longies, you know, and we're just going to go have a look and suss out this house. The kids were up in this attic of this barn. It was really quite a high ceiling, you know, it's a proper barn. Not like this shed, but... and then Noobs smashes his long neck and goes, there they are, Gordo, let's get them. And these kids started screaming because they were all being really quiet up there. They must have had a rope ladder that they'd pulled up because it was just a manhole and they were all quiet. And I think he thought, oh, you know, they're hiding from me, you know. I don't know what he's thinking, man, but these kids started screaming. I'm like, what'd you do that for? You know, let's get out of here. And we just went straight home. And we're looking out the front window and there's all these people. There's the kids who are all children from people that lived at the Housing Commission and that.
Yeah.
And there's, you know, young and old, black and white people just with rakes and knives and just all kinds of stuff, just all running to the aid of these kids that are screaming, you know. And then someone's great idea was to go up into the backyard where it sloped up and we could see over the house and see what was going on. But there was a kid still, you know, they're still up in the attic. And this kid just goes, there they are. And then our house was getting surrounded by people. And we were just standing there with our longies with people just swarming in up that side passage, around the side fence.
So they were a heavy crew.
And the next door neighbours, who's, you know, mole plants we'd sort of pruned.
Pruned? That's not what I heard.
Pruned.
You pruned the neighbour's garden?
Yeah, at an earlier time.
So they were already pissed off.
Bit of prunage.
What did you prune?
So they hated us. So
What did you prune?
some exotic tomatoes, I'd say. And
I heard it was more than pruning.
yeah, no, we did a double harvest. It was pruning.
A double
Technically.
harvest.
But
So they get involved because they're upset.
yeah, so they're chiming in with all this hysteria, and they're going, they're pedophiles.
Pedophiles? Where'd that come from?
So just when it's like, you know, they're just yelling it out. They're trying to G up all these housing commission people, you know, and like we're just standing there, and these people are saying, put the longies down to me, and they're standing there, and then the cops rock up on the other side of the fence, you know, and break everyone up.
Yeah.
It was about 5:30 p.m. or something, and then we're sitting in there thinking, you know, we got to write an apology letter or something, or, you know, we got to sort this out, you know. And just when we're trying to figure out what to do, I'm thinking we got to go talk to someone, or, you know, Daddy must have come home or something like that, because we got this knock on the door and there's this really big bloke, and yeah, he wasn't, you know. I mean, I wouldn't be happy if someone, you know, did that and scared your kids, and because see, one of the girls has been abducted before, but like by her, I don't know if it was a real father or whatever, you know, like in a family thing. It was really traumatizing for her though. And so, you know, she urinated herself, you know, when this happened. And we heard this later, you know, like this, it really scared the crap out of these kids. Yeah. Because of the background, you know, the kind of
they're already traumatized
experiences they've had. And
but you didn't know that.
Huh?
Oh, you obviously didn't know that.
No, noobs didn't know that, you know. But it's still to sort of, you know, they're only young kids, you know.
So it just turned into a big shitstorm.
Well, this dude just, you know, we opened the door and there's this big dude, and like, because we were tall, but we were like skinny as sticks. Me and Noobs, we had the same sort of physique. And,
yeah.
And the dude just turned, he said, were you involved today? And we stepped forward and go, you know, well, there, mate, you know. And I was about to, you know, try and talk to him. And he's looking at both of us and goes, "Why are you scared?" And I was actually about to go, "Well, you know, a huge dude comes around after his kids have gotten scared, you know." Like I was about to say, "Well, you know, isn't that normal?" You know?
Yeah.
But then Noobs just goes, "I'm not scared." And the guy just sort of turned to him and goes, "What?" And Noobs goes, "You heard. I'm not scared here." And I've gone, "What?" Because Noobs, like, he has a different, you know, later on, you know, he's had bad experiences, like, with Indigenous people up in where he's from in Kempsey or whatever, you know, like, he's had a different upbringing himself, you know, he's from a whole different area and, you know. But anyway, and the guy just said, "You're lucky, mate, you're lucky." And he sort of got his finger going, you know, going, "You're lucky." And then he just smashed Noobs in the face so hard. And then his back of his head hit this corner of the door jam, you know, whatever. And it was like, fuck, you know.
This is real
It's like it was
deal.
almost like wooden house, you know, with cladding, and it just sort of shook the house.
Oh my God.
And then, but it didn't knock Noobs out. And then, but the dude turned to left, like leave, like that was it, you know.
Yeah.
But Noobs,
Oh, no.
he wasn't happy now.
I thought you were going to say that's when you nunchucked him when he turned his back.
No. Noobs went into the house, picked up this skate, he just walked straight out. As this guy's walking away, he smashed him as hard as he could with like the kingpin to the top of the spine. You know, just bang.
No.
And it just really pissed this guy off.
It's made it so much worse.
You know, it probably hurt, I don't know, but the main thing was that this guy just turned around and he wasn't happy. And, and then he started to bash Newton, like they were going on the floor, and that's when I thought, oh, shit. And I ran into my bedroom, you know, and I'd had these things since I was a kid, and they're stuffed under my mattress, you know, in case, I don't know, someone comes to your house, or, you know.
You've been practicing for this moment all your life.
I didn't know they were an illicit
Did you do the
illegal
thing,
weapon.
like, before you actually tried to hit him, did you start wrapping it around your body first, like as a warning, like, here I come, I'm going to nunchuck you?
No, I did all that stuff in practice. And it was funny, not long before then, I was showing Davo, like, I put his shoebox on top of the cupboard. I went, watch this. And I just went, whack. And it was all so fast. I'm like, the shoebox just disappears and it's just wedged up against the wall on the other side of the room, you know? Like, look at the power in these things. But when it came down to it, no, I just walked out thinking, I'm going to scare him off. I didn't think I'm going to go bash this guy. I thought he'll see these nunchuckers and it'll scare him, you know. I didn't know. I just had to do something. And when I got out there, Noobs was knocked out on the front porch.
That's heavy.
And the dude had picked up this concrete pot plant that was full of soil. It was, you know, about 2.5 feet tall. I think weighed half a ton, you know. And he was just getting under it, you know, like the clean and jerk. This thing was so heavy.
What, to drop it on him while he was out?
Yeah.
He was really trying to kill him.
Yeah, but when I popped out, he's got this thing. He's got Noobs, but his eyes have looked up at me like he's sprung in the act, sort of thing, you know. And I'm holding these nummies, and he looked at me, and I looked at him, and I just went, "Fuck, crack!"
While he was holding the plant.
Yeah, I just cracked him in the head. But it wasn't that hard, you know. Like I in retrospect, like, because I thought, mate, it hurts so much just when you just, you know, not even trying and hit yourself in the head. So I didn't hit him that hard. Like, I didn't want to kill this guy, you know. So I given him a little
Love
just
tap.
a little tap, you know. And he dropped this concrete pot plant, and it just like exploded. This was like a demolition scene. Like, it just, you know. I just remember it was all like slow mo, and then I just remember the two hands coming for me, and then, you know, I had the nummies, and like there's these hands coming for me now. And I knew he was serious, you know.
He's upset now.
So I just found this gap between his hands, and I just smashed him in the like head through the middle, through the gap. And he went back. He was a bit stunned, like, and then he sort of came to, And then he came at me again, you know, like
So
a
what's-
Terminator.
So, yeah.
And I hit him again.
It's like
and
three
this
times.
kept happening. It was like bang. And it was like,
Oh, I
aren't
thought
you
it was
gonna-
just one shot, one kill.
No, I was like, aren't you going to stop? He just kept coming like a Terminator. And every time I was getting harder. Every time it was getting harder and harder.
Yeah.
Because I thought, well, that did not
It's
get
not working.
Was he on speed or something, this guy?
He was just a tough motherfucker.
Oh, man.
But then Noobs got up. He didn't know what was going on. Stood up in the middle of us. He was just dazed out, and the dude put him in a chokehold and was using Noobs' face as like a human shield, you know, like holding him in a chokehold, which is actually, you know, this guy later, like, friends tried to get an ABO on him or something, and, you know, the guy said he was a black belt in karate and stuff, and I'd believe it because that's, you know, that's a pretty, you know, advanced thing to do, to use, you know, like if you have multiple opponents, if you put one in a chokehold, you can use
block
him to
with
block
the other one.
Yeah.
That's what Bruce Lee used to do all the time in movies.
Oh, did he?
Jackie Chan does that all the time.
Yeah, right. Well, he might have, you know, watched a few of those movies.
Been
himself.
inspired.
Yeah, and yeah, but then see, I'd sort of cornered him into the back of this port. Like I just wanted him to go, you know, but I'd cornered him sort of, and like, because when he had Noobs in the head, like in a chokehold, sorry, I was coming over the top. I was using the nunchuckers, you know, and whipping down. It wasn't real hard, but now I'm hitting him in the back of the head, you know, because I can't hit him there because Noobs' head's there. So I'm reaching over the top, and it's whacking in the back of the head, but not super hard. But then one of the ones from the front of his head, like, just suddenly there was like a river of blood started pouring, but it was like stuck to his head and neck, like a thick ribbon. It was a serious amount of blood just started pouring out of his head. And that's when he realised, oh shit, you know, he was sort of like,
Done.
I'm in trouble, like, and you could tell he wanted to bail, and I just sort of backed off into the house. And on the way past, he picked up one of those chunks of concrete and just shock-putted this thing into the house. And I remember it just sort of nicking me. I thought, oh, yeah, it's just going to nick you. But it was so much force in even just brushing past you.
Dude.
He just, yeah.
So it was a full, like, neighbourhood domestic type situation. Were your other housemates home?
It was a horror show. Yeah, everyone, like, yeah.
Was everyone freaking out?
Yeah, pretty much.
Where was David?
Oh, he wasn't there then.
No.
He just moved out not long before then or something. Jubba was there and that, and Hobag, and yeah, everyone was just pretty freaked out. And then he bailed, right? And I just went and put him in my drawer in my room, and I thought, these guys tried to murder someone. Like, they're not going to care about you defending yourself. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not really the way it went down. Like, the police came, these two sort of rookie cops, you know, came, and they said, everyone on the front porch, hands on the porch, you're not going anywhere. We got reasonable cause, it's an illicit deadly weapon or whatever, and we're going to search your house. And I was like, oh shit, I don't even get a chance to stash him properly. And I was like, but this guy tried to, you know, they didn't care about that. They just went, where's the nunchuckers?
deadly
They're just
weapon?
like, yeah. And I was pretty much screwed, I thought. But then the old wise sergeant came along and turned up. And he walked up to these rookie cops. He, you know, had us all pinned on this front porch. And this old sergeant went, come on, boys, let's go up here and interview the victim. You know, and he got them away from the house and took them up there. So I've just run into the house, grabbed the nummies, gone out to the backyard. We had all fish ponds and that, you know, all that concreting kind of stuff that people do, you know, who lived there before, like the original owners and that. And I just put them in the mud up to my shoulder, like that deep in the mud under the fish pond, like. And then when the Hobag's like, what about the hydro setup? I'm like, ditch it. Like, he was sort of trying to say, don't stash that. What about my hydro? I'm like, mate, ditch that as well. Like, and he just turned all these seedlings, you know, in the rock or whatever, turned them all upside down in the garden, and then he had all these vegetable seeds that I had provided. You know, we wanted to grow veggies and stuff.
Yeah, legit.
He just threw all those in there and in the setup, and yeah, and then I had everyone in the front room because I'm pretty freaking out, right? I'm like, you know, they're gone. No one's going to find them. I said to them, no one's finding them. I go, listen, everyone, this is the story, right?
So you had time
Like, I'm pointing at my mates and I'm going, There were no nunchuckers. You got it? I hit him in the head with a skateboard. I go, there are no nunchuckers. Stick with the story, right? And because what they did is when they came back, they didn't search the whole house. What they did was take an individual person into a room and then question them. You know, take them on their own and then ask different questions and see if they had different stories. And everyone just said, no nunchuckers, right? And then miraculously, like with all the ruckus on the front porch, this old school 70s chair, you know, with the front legs are round with the little cap on the end, the little brass caps on the end. Basically some old chair legs with nails sticking out of them. Like that chair had been collapsed and there was these two chair legs that were round. And this rookie cop like picked up these two chair legs and go, because they've got all these other witnesses saying, there's nunchuckers. And they've got all these guys going, no, there's no nunchuckers. So these cops are a bit like, you know.
Yeah.
We need answers.
Everyone's adamant. Yeah. And then they found these chair legs and they go, and he honestly goes, this must be what they thought were the nunchuckers.
Wow.
It was just bizarre.
And what did you say? You're like, yep, you're right. You got me.
Sherlock.
We didn't actually say anything. They didn't ask us anything. And and then they just bailed. But then it was like, now we got to deal with the housing commission. And then we had, you know, the dude's wife with the knife coming out, going, Everleigh Street's coming for you tonight. You're all dead.
So you really messed with the wrong crowd.
And we all sort of evacuated, and then the rocks got thrown through the windows and that, and then we got this big skate crew. Well, Nathan had organised it. So I rock up to Surf Dive one day, and they got this van or something. Someone had a van, and there's Clint Bond, you know, and Davo had like all these skaters just rocked up to come with us to go to our house to go in so we could pack all our stuff up so that we could then get it moved out or whatever.
Oh, nice! Like the community came together for you.
Yeah. Because Hobag worked at Surf Dive, and all these people come in and see him, and he's like, "Can you help me tonight?" You know,
like as like an emergency move out.
Well,
because it was that heavy.
Yeah, well, we were freaked out. I mean,
yeah,
I was only 21 and I was really skinny, and you know, I've never been in a real violent situation like that. Like it like traumatized me.
Yeah.
And you know, it was pretty freaky. Like this dude's pretty heavy. Like, you know, my mate nearly got murdered in front of me. You know, and then to see the blood coming out of this guy's head. Like I found out later, like recently, when I told this story to a friend, he said that's like. His bone's been fractured and ruptured the like membrane, you know, that covers. I don't know if it's a blood-brain barrier or you know, covers your brain. Like that was actually fluid from your brain. You know, like it's not good to lose that blood. You know, it could have cascading effects for him later or something. Like, and I was like, yeah, right. Because normally, you know, if you get a hit in the head, it doesn't bleed that much. Your head, there's not a lot of blood in it. It's just sort of thin skin.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's sort of like, you know, it still haunts me, that story, but, you know.
So you didn't stick around long enough to find out what happened to the bloke, obviously?
Oh, I think, no, he was all right. Like, I got another mate that knows him. Like, I got a mate that grew up there.
Yeah.
And later on, we've caught, oh, you know him too, Ben. Benny Has.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
Yeah, he knew the cop. Like, he grew up around there. Yeah. So I used to see Benny a lot down at Curl Park. And
right.
Back in the day, and seen him again lately, and so you know, I think the guy was all right. You know.
Yeah, well, that's good. I'm glad he's all right, but it's just wild. Some things that unfold, especially when you're younger. Like this is stuff that a lot of young men get involved in, just through bad decisions. Like everyone makes bad decisions, right? Like in terms of timeline of your life, like. You know, you said that you went to uni in Newcastle, and then after that you were sort of working some odd jobs, and like what was and then you had the Annandale house. Like where'd you go from there? Were you still working for Surf Dive and just skating heaps, or what was the next move? Do you remember?
Can't remember. We sort of had to move out in a hurry, and I can't remember where I moved after that. I have to think about it.
Did you find that you were just still really focused on chasing a skate dream? Like, were you having aspirations like, hey, I want to be like skateboarding to be my full-time living? Like, was that on your mind a lot?
Yeah. Well, I just like doing it, and it's good to, you know, try and find a way to be able to continue to do it, like to have the time. You need a lot of time, I guess,
Yeah.
to do it. So, to try and be good at it. But, yeah, I was just sort of trying to wing it and get by however I could and try and keep skating,
That's it, hey. And like sponsorship wise, you were I know you said you were sponsored by Criminal, but like what other, like you had a board sponsor, you were showing us a board last night, like you had like a pro model on a brand as well, didn't you?
Yeah, Salvation.
That's so sick.
Yeah. Well, I probably shouldn't never left Criminal. I mean, I love the guys and everything, but I went over to Philadelphia and I was sort of looking back and I thought, well, they're not making any boards at the moment. I just felt like it wasn't going anywhere and I just wanted some free shit, basically. So I got back and I just said to Glenn, like, I love the guy and love the company and everything like that, but I just wanted to try and go somewhere else maybe and get some free stuff.
Yeah.
But it wasn't a good decision, really. I mean, I should have stayed at Criminal with my homies,
Yeah.
But Glenn was cool, and he said I was cool the way I said it. I wasn't, like, pissed off, or anything. I wasn't, I was just needed staff. I didn't have a lot of money in that. I just wanted, what skateboarding is like. You go through stuff, And,
Yeah.
I was just wanting some sort of... There wasn't a lot going on at the time. Like Glenn was working at Resist, I think, at the time, and he had some other things going on and that. And
he's in the band as well. Is that that time? Remember, he was in
It was the best, man. That swing band.
Nah, the one before. It was like a hard metal, new metal. I don't know. Some heavy punk band or something. You remember that?
Yeah.
I can't remember what it was called. Oh, Pitbull Attack. That's what it was called. Remember that?
Right.
Yeah, you don't remember?
Yeah. No, I do. I remember the name.
Yeah.
But I don't know if I ever saw them,
Yeah. What year was that you left Criminal? Because we weren't teammates.
No, it was when I just got back from Philly. It was like 96.
And who was on the team back then? Justin Balmain?
Yeah, Fish.
Damien Ranucci?
Yeah, he was probably on there then.
Yeah.
That guy ripped.
Oh, that might have been yeah, he was probably.
He had mad style, that guy.
Yeah, he was sick.
Yeah.
Bardos?
I can't remember. I'm trying to picture this old photo we had for an ad and who was in it. I don't think Bart was on yet, but he could have been.
Yeah, there's a few different phases of Criminal over the years.
Don't you reckon it was more like a focus for Australian skaters just to get free stuff? Like, I don't think Australian skaters really were entertaining the idea of making money out of skating. It was just like, if you were getting some free shit, you were so stoked, right?
Yeah, well, there wasn't really any money, so...
You had boards on Criminal?
Yeah, just the Charles Manson model.
Just that one?
So
did you get royalties?
Oh, yeah.
Don't think so. I got a few boards. I
didn't get royalties.
So what's the backstory behind the Charles Manson graphic?
Well, I didn't really know anything about Charles Manson. Glenn just said you got to have a criminal on there, and I just thought he was the worst criminal.
He's a criminal.
But we opted to not put my mate Murph did the graphic, sort of an iconic graphic. It wasn't like a detailed picture of him.
Okay.
And we opted to not have the swastika.
Good option.
And,
good idea.
But I didn't realise what he'd actually done.
Mass murder. Yeah.
Yeah, and later on, I don't know if he actually did. He just manipulated other people.
Yeah. That's
You got him to drink. Everyone drank the Kool-Aid.
Yeah.
He
was that guy.
I know that was at Jonestown.
He did a similar thing.
He had these followers, and then he would manipulate them to go and do things. And
okay,
apparently, I'm not sure of the details, but
he was a criminal.
But I ended up getting sponsored by Balmoral Boards, and I was in there one day, and that board was selling in there, and they had the board, and my mate Pete was there. I go, "How's this board going?" He goes, "Oh, this dad came in, and he picked it out, and the kid picked it out and everything, and they were about to pay for it, and then the dad said, 'By the way, whose picture is that on that board?'"
Huh.
And Pete goes, "Oh, that's Charles Manson."
Oh, man.
And this dad was like, "No, I didn't buy it."
Surprise, surprise.
Good marketing strategy. Who was that? Glenn Scott.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were the best boards out of this Watson wood, and
Yeah.
that's why I don't have one, because they were just so good to skate
Yeah, okay.
and really
Didn't save
durable and
Yeah.
solid. Like they just
Yeah.
they were great. Had pop, everything, strength. You know, they were really good. Surprisingly.
How do you feel having your name on a skateboard? Like, you were showing us that one last night. Like, you know, what a keepsake you've got, you know?
Yeah, well, you know, it's pretty cool. I like it, you know, because my mate Perps did the graphic.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty cool.
Because back then, too, like, not everyone could just get a name on a skateboard like they sort of do now.
I sort of forced these guys, like, because I'd left criminal.
Oh,
and,
right.
like, word got around. I know, got around really quick.
You took your nunchucks around and said, I need a board.
What do you
Pro
mean?
model.
I didn't think anyone would give a shit that I left criminal. Like, I didn't think people would even talk about, like, and then I get these dudes from Port Macquarie just ring up and go, we heard you left criminal and we got a board company. And I said to him, yeah, well, I want a pro model. I want to get money. And I said,
Yeah,
I think
right.
it's demand. And I went,
Just
yeah.
hustled.
And they go, that's what we want. You know, we want a pro. We want to do all this. And yeah, but I mean, they were cool, you know, but, you know, it just sort of fizzled out a bit in the end.
Yeah.
They're paying the riders too much.
They did give me,
They're rider.
they gave me some
No, that was
cash
it.
in 96. What was that, 97. After I did that drop in, like they came down to go to a skate comp. There's 97 surf dive one, and
Yeah.
he gave me like $100 or something. He goes, "That's for doing that drop in." And I'm like,
So tell us about the
"Sick,
drop-in. Is that the one? Is that the one we were talking about today, you and I?
man." Yeah.
Tell us about that story. Like, relay it, because I think it's a sick story. I love it. And I love that sequence,
That's
by the way.
insane, yeah.
Well, I was in the Honda City Pro, and I was going to meet O'Mealy in Martin Place because I needed to get photos of for Volcom and on air. Like, they wanted me to get some pictures, and I said, O'Mealy, let's, you know, get some photos. And I just did that really lame, you know, where you. But on the way there, I noticed this thing. It was brand new. Like, it just.
So just describe it for everyone that doesn't know exactly what you're talking about. What is it?
It's just like a big, you know, flat bank, like glass structure above escalators, you know, that go down
in the city.
underground to the train station. Yeah.
Yeah, it's almost like a covering, hey, like a roof covering, but
Yeah, to museum station.
and they try to make it look a bit sort of arty, like it's a big glass sort of sculpture in a way, hey.
Yeah, and you'd think it's Oxford Street because of the way the road, but it's actually Liverpool Street, across the road from Hyde Park. But it's not there now.
It's not? I was wondering that.
It got pulled down.
Okay.
And no one else can do it now.
Yeah, sick.
Yes.
Yeah, that was gnarly, man. That was really gnarly.
Yeah, but you know when you drive past in the car and you see something and you go, oh, imagine that, you know,
Yeah.
you can't help it. You just see things, you go, oh. But then you get out of the car and you go up close to it and it's always like, oh, okay,
So what was the hardest?
this isn't doable.
What was the hardest thing about actually doing it though? Like, obviously you could roll in on a flat bank. There's no doubt about that. But what was so?
Yeah,
what
you
made
could
it-
do the flat bank. You could take that little 1 foot drop onto the ledge. You know, you can.
Yeah.
You know, probably anyone could do that. The only thing was that the drop was above my eyes, so it's probably, you know, around 6 foot, and then you're landing downhill. So
Yeah, but it's not a straight drop. You drop
Yeah.
off onto a ledge
Onto
and
a
there's
ledge
a really
and then you
short...
drop again.
yeah, there wasn't much.
Nah.
Yeah,
And you're going fast.
yeah, and when I walked up, well, yeah, but I saw it, and I went and did these photos with Mike in Martin Place. You know where you roll down that little weird round twisty thing, and then you roll straight onto this rail, that really high flat rail that curves around. Like I did a 5 on that or something. It was pretty lame. And then he's like, "Is there anything else you want to do?" And I went, "Yeah, there's this dropping up there." And he goes, "What? Are you serious? That thing's gnarly." And I'm like, "What are you talking about, dude?" It looked pretty mellow from the road, you know. Like, just looks like a big flat bank, you know.
Yeah.
And then when we got there, yeah, it was above my eyes. So I was like, "Oh, this is a bit gnarlier than it looked."
He was right.
Yeah. But Amelie was there, you know. And he's like, "You still can't do it?" I'm like, "Yeah," because you know, you just looked at Amelie, and he was like, looking at him was like glory, you know. Like if I did this, he would get the photo. It'd be in a mag.
He's getting the shot.
You'd have glory.
And he would do it well. Like
He'd do it well. He was reliable. He wasn't gonna, you know, mess it up. he just looked O'Malley. He was just, like
So because you-
skateboarding glory.
because you told him you're now accountable, like you couldn't back out, you put yourself in it.
Yeah. And he was like, all right. Like, he was really keen to hang around. So I walked up there and I put my tail on the edge and then I looked over the back to just have a look, and it was 30 foot and I got vertigo and I sort of leaned over too much and started running down it and went a bit fast and sort of ran off the end and then sort of crumbled onto the ground. Sort of had a stack just running down it because I sort of got, vertigo.
Well, because you were
basically.
had head spins because you were 30 to 40 feet off the ground.
Yeah, it was really high. It was at least like 30 foot or something.
It's just such a sick sequence. It looks so good, just unique as well. Everything about it.
Have you still got that actual magazine or those shots anywhere?
Yeah. And but then when I was doing it, I was getting my wheels down on the footpath, but zinging off the back because I wasn't getting my weight over it to compensate for the the downhill that you're landing on, and that happened a few, probably about 3 times. So the fourth actual attempt, the first attempt, I didn't even use my board. I just ran down it. But it was about the 5th attempt. I sort of went, I got to go down here and I got to go past that. I was sort of stuck on that. That was a problem. I had to look past the problem. I had to look to the solution, and you could see all the way down Liverpool Street to Chinatown. I said, I'm going down here and I'm going to Chinatown. And I'm past this thing. And also, that I was going to have to lean into it a bit, lean forward, like against your wheel a bit. Sort of like Wally.
Commit.
But like a Wally,
When you're like that ledge that you hit.
like a Wally, you got to put, like you say, your shoulder. I had to put my shoulder.
Yeah.
But like when you're coming down there into that, like you got to put your shoulder in it. It was a little bit.
Full commitment.
You had to go against your will, your own, natural urge. I had to like just lean in.
And be really light-footed at the same time and be leaning into the hill.
Yeah.
That's
So
cra-
I had
it's
to
crazy.
sort of.
No one else did it.
But it just worked. And I remember like I just popped off the end, like it all happens real quick. And my board's sort of trailing behind me, but it's like when you're olling, like it was in a position where you could pull it back under yourself, but where you wanted it to be, it wasn't out in front of you, And you can see it in the photo. I love the photo. Like you can see the board's way back behind me, but it's ready just to be pulled under me,
Wow, dude.
Like I don't know how to
So
explain
sick.
it. But what gave me a lot of the skills for just rolling off like that was going down to North Bondi with the dirt board and with Renucci and stuff. Like he was just a local down there, whoever was there, and would bomb the grass hills at South Bondi and jump off where the footpath is. There's like, wheelie bin high little wall.
Yeah.
So we used to just have a bit of fun and just like mess around with the dirt board, bombing down the hills, and it was actually it was actually quite difficult. It was the same thing. You'd roll off because these wheels are so heavy and you're not ollying.
Yeah.
You would land and
acid drop
you'd
off.
whip off the back. So you had to kind of lean into that as well. Like it made you,
Commit.
because you're just rolling off. You got to kind of lean forward a bit.
Was that your favourite coverage or photo in a magazine that you ever had, you think?
No, that's not my personal favourite.
What was?
The 50-50 wall ride, 50-50 kick in on the road barrier in Pyrmont.
Okay.
Sick.
I know the one.
In Transworld.
Yeah.
That's
And it
so
came
rad,
with
Gordo.
the funniest caption.
What did it say?
It said, what was that dude's name? He was like the associate editor of Transworld.
Skin?
Josh, no, it wasn't Skin. No, it wasn't him. I can't remember his name now. We'll find out.
The associate editor of Transworld.
Well, yeah, he was out here with Ryan G, and it was weird because I'd been to Philly and I met Ryan G and hung out with him and that.
Sick.
And then, I was
Dave Swift.
No.
Yeah, it wasn't Dave Swift. Joel, someone.
Joel Patterson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were all down there. It was Ryan G, Joel Patterson,
This is the one
Jeff Taylor.
on the on-ramp to the Western Distributor, to the bridge.
Yeah, but like why they got the picture was because I ran into him. Like I was with my mate Danny Mayo, and we just went from my house where I lived in, North Bondi, and we're just skating down the beach. And for some reason, like was skating along the car park and I just ollied off the wall. But I went on I was a bit tentative. I didn't want to land on somebody, you know, like you couldn't really see you. Like, so I sort of went, I didn't go straight off at full bore. I went on a bit of an angle so I could see if there's anyone down there before I ollied. And just ollied off that wall, and those guys, I didn't even know they were there. And Ryan G came up and went, yeah, we got to do that, get a cover photo.
Sick.
And then, so I ended up just, you know, getting a bit of speed and doing it, and it took me a few goes, but just ollied off there, nothing came of it. But they were in town, you know, and that's when I was like, Ryan G, I just met him in Philly and that.
And he was saying cover photo.
Yeah, I mean, he was...
So, did you have a moment of like, I could get the cover of Transworld?
Well, he was just, gee, no, he wants to get the cover because he get lots of money and, you know, he hopes it's a cover, but...
Yeah, and so do you.
You know, it's just an ollie, you know. but it's, I guess...
If it's artistic as well.
Yeah, it had all the graffiti and that, but I don't know, you know.
Did you see that photo?
It's not really up to him, you know, what the cover photo is, you know. And I knew that I was an editor, you know, like, so I wasn't buying that.
Got to be optimistic, though.
But I was like, yeah, you want to get a photo, let's do it, you know. And
like over the years of being an editor and stuff, who would you rate as your personal favourite Australian skateboarder from that era? Because you would have looked at a lot of film and footage.
Well, like as far as skate, like their style and skating, my favourite person to watch and really kind of inspired me. It was Ben Cox.
Yeah.
That name's come up a few times, hasn't it?
Yeah, like he just, you know.
He was incredible, man. I've said it every time that name comes up. The dude's incredible.
He went fast and he could do so much stuff. Like he always surprised you. He always excited you. And he was a great guy and, you know.
Could just tell he had an X factor about him.
Yeah, but it was exciting, you know. It's like when, you know, like we're talking about seeing Pat Duffy on the Plan B video. Yeah. You know, or maybe going back further, you know, when you first see Frankie Hill in those Old Bones videos or something and
big acid
you know,
drops.
when there's skating's gone to that next level or whatever and that's what Ben Cox was like. He always kept it new. He was always right on the cutting edge.
He did the hardest tricks. The
hardest tricks when, you know, they'd just come out and he's doing them long and, you know, he was like pro standard, you know.
Oh, easily.
Because we used to see him at Clearway, right? That's where you probably first saw him as well. Oh, check it out. There's a mouse up there. Oh, shit. There's a rat.
Oh, no. Are we going to get attacked?
No.
A bush rat.
I think
bush rat. Is the caravan closed? I don't want to... It's in our sleeping bags.
Oh, no. the ice cooler.
The ice cooler. Yeah, the fridge. Yeah. The fridge event.
It's the Raj rat.
The Raj rat. Yeah. Tell us about, you know, meeting Pat Duffy. So you said that you and him like had a good connection. You know, again, you were coming across a lot of American pros when they'd come out here on tour.
Yeah.
Like, what did you like about Pat Duffy? What was cool about him compared to other pros?
Oh, I loved his backflip in the rain and the music. And, you know,
one of the best parts.
All the stuff he was doing, you know, he's just... And what was weird, though, about Pat Duffy, as much as... Man, you know, he did a 20-stair handrail in that park.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That was the biggest handrail ever done for a long time. Yeah.
And
I didn't know that. Like, I just watched the vid and go, that's a hectic handrail.
Yeah. But do you know even more backstory about that 50-50?
He did it twice. Because Matt Hensley wasn't there when he did it. Is that right?
But I don't know about that aspect of it, but I heard that was the first time he'd skated with the other Plan B skaters, and they were like, it was like a trial to see if he was going to be on the team, and it was like Mike T introducing him to everyone. Just go, look, this guy rips. I want to see what you guys think of him, to see if he's any good. You know, like, just we'll go skating and let's suss him out. And then he did that on their first skate. So I think they were impressed.
You reckon?
Well, especially how he busted straight into a 30-kilometre-an-hour slappy. Yeah.
The frontside 50-50 slappy.
Yeah.
So hard. Can you do slappies?
My mate, you know, Jeff, you know, he'd do everything, you know, and like he was doing slappies, and I got into him, like I got a couple, but I just hated them. Like it was stressful, you know. You never knew, you know.
And they weren't trendy when we were coming up as well. Like
they're trendy now.
Yeah, they're definitely trendy now.
Yeah, like I got them a bit, but it wasn't consistent enough, and it was just like I didn't continue with them.
Yeah, okay.
But I tell you, one day I spun that dude out because I was in Tokyo and I smoked all this hash and I got really psyched. And he lived on this American compound. It was just like skate heaven. everything. It was just all concrete, just everything. And I was just flying at this wall. And, like, I didn't have my board. He lent me his board, this brace Canates. And it was really loose trucks. And it was just must have been this perfect setup, no nose back then. And I was just doing these giant wall rides just off flat. I've never done it again that big. It must have been that setup, how loose, because I never really had trucks that loose. But, yeah, and he was just going, man, those wall rides were crazy. And he's going, you all hashed up. Because he was fully straight edge, his dad was an alcoholic and he was fully straight edge. And, I'd rock up at 6 a.m. in the morning, pissed as, and on my motorbike. Come on, I found some plywood for you. And his dad would be like passed out on the chair at the front. He would sneak out and jump on the back of my motorbike. And
was smoking weed a big part of your story? Or was it just something you did when you were younger and then just sort of let it go?
Yeah, that didn't happen often in Tokyo. It was, it wasn't a huge thing. Yeah, I got into it. I was younger. I liked doing it, and but not really. It wasn't,
Not these days at all. Done with it.
Yeah, lately. I was only really smoking it lately if I got drunk.
Yeah, okay.
If I got drunk, Space would talk me into one.
Space. That's the best nickname ever. I said, I want that nickname. Can we take it back with us and just can you start calling me?
I will.
Thanks.
Yeah. The Space man.
Yeah, no, but go back to the story about like Pat Duffy, like we loved him, he was ripping, but you said you got to spend a bit of time with him and
yeah, well, I didn't realise, like, in that video, there's some footage of him skating at Airbnb. He's doing double kickflip, backside 180, what do you call that?
Yeah.
Kickflip,
double surfy flip, I'm pretty sure, like the kickflip shove it.
Double kickflip shove it.
Yeah, I think that's...
Yeah, but he did a double backside flip.
Yeah, he would have done that
down
as well,
the three stair?
Yep.
I think he just did it on flat. Or it might have been down the three.
I can't remember.
But he was down the three,
He was doing stuff like that. And
Yeah.
in that footage, like, he had this long hair, and it looked like myself. Like, when I've seen footage of myself, he looked exactly like me.
Dude, this is what happens.
And it really spun me out. I go, that looks exactly like me. So he must have the same body shape as me or something. Because, you can tell who's who from whatever angle when you're used to skating. I'm like, man, that looks like footage. But I couldn't do those tricks. But
so you just identified with his appearance.
Yeah, I think so, but I just love that backlip and everything in the rain, and like I thought that was sick because I could do backlips, and I wanted to do one down around. He just did one in the rain, and I love the music with it. And
then he came to Australia, and you just partied with him, like he was one of your bros.
Yeah, many years later, like he wasn't, the guy now, like in the mega spotlight, but he's still sick. Skating. He was still Duffy. He'd still done all that stuff. And but before meeting him, we're hanging out with Jamie Thomas at Chad's house, where Wade was living, because he's coming to hang out with Wade to try and get footage or whatever Jamie Thomas was doing. And he was the one telling me about that rail that Pat Duffy did was the biggest handrail ever done. And that's why he did the 21 stair on the Big Brother cover.
Yes.
It was mellow, though. It wasn't as steep. And he did a backside.
And it had the grass on one side as well.
Yeah, that was pretty heckers.
Yeah.
But, it was pretty... It was a different rail, but he wanted to just do 21, so he's done now the most stairs rail. And I don't think, Pat even knew about, So when I met him, I go, man, that was the biggest rail ever done, and, and all this stuff. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. But I go, I don't think that way that, if someone goes and does a 21 stair now, that they're better than you. You did that way back then,
Gotcha.
And it was steep and gnarly and you did that style and slappy.
Yeah, in context of the time period.
And then the tray afterwards.
So,
yeah, and he's goofy, and I was telling him, I going, man, I was slow-moing that backlip because I was going to do this Adidas ad or something, and I want to do the backlip at Chroma?
Which one?
That little rail at the school in Chroma or whatever.
Oh, DY Primary.
Oh, is that DY?
Yeah. The 7 stair.
Yeah, I wanted to take him there, and I wanted to backlip that.
Yeah, right.
And
that's short, man, for a back lip.
Yeah, like later on, I've looked at it and gone, "Oh, that's probably a bit short for backlift."
Yeah, definitely.
But like,
It's like they put that one a step too high. They should have put it a bit lower. It would have been the perfect handrail.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
And but like, it didn't end up eventuating. They just got me to do ollies on flat ground on some roof or something. You know, they had their own thing that they wanted to do. It was an artsy thing.
What was this for?
But Adidas.
Oh, okay.
And but I was telling him, I was going, man, I was slow-mo in that video.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Was he stoked?
Yeah, and he was like, sick,
Yeah,
dude.
yeah,
like,
yeah.
And I'm going, you know, but I had to flip it around in my head because you're goofy.
Dude, you should have just got the mirror in front of the TV and looked at it through the mirror. Like, you know that trick?
No.
It's a good one. I learned that off of some, I don't know. Brian Anderson, I think, was doing it on Heath Kirchart, watching him skate regular foot.
Wow, that's a
Yeah.
hot tip.
Yeah, there you go. Try it out. Go do it now.
Well, next time I'm planning to do a...
Yeah. But you guys got along pretty well, like, as friends, basically, on that trip as well, not beyond the skating.
Yeah, some people, when you fan out on them, they're kind of like, you know, whatever. They might treat you like a bit of a kook or something, but he was stoked. Man. He was like, yeah, dude, you're like, rad.
Yeah.
You know, stoked, you're stoked, you know? Like, he was a really good, fun dude to hang out, a great guy
Just
to
humble
party
and
with.
genuine, yeah.
He just was a great vibe.
He seemed like he loved to party, loved to drink.
Yeah.
You were similar.
Yeah, he liked to have a good time and, you know, party. But he loved music, you know. He had just great taste in music.
Yeah.
And he really, like, made our tour awesome. And he was the only one out of everyone that when we got to Adelaide, I'm like, you know, let's go out and, you know, let's go out.
He was always
basically.
keen, yeah.
Let's party on, you know. And he was like, yeah, dude. But he's like, he didn't have any money at the time.
What was that tour for?
He was
Like,
waiting for money to come.
how are you related to that? Is this
Because I was riding for Censored.
censored? Okay.
Yeah, and it was
I
a,
forgot about that.
it was a Think Censored tour.
Yep. I remember.
And
Who was on it? Dandra Hobel, Duffy, and then
Brett Margaritas.
Margaritas, yeah.
Yeah, and Dan Ivett.
You and
was
Dan Ivett, yeah.
with us, and who else was there on that trip? Oh, Verge
All right, yeah.
and Alva. He was just
Yeah.
like, it was a bit of a motley crew, but it was.
What was it like
really
hanging?
awesome.
What was it like hanging with Alva?
It was
'Cause-
awesome. He's a great guy, and he
Surreal.
And I got on really, like, he liked me, you know, and because, you know, when I met him, we were talking about the memory effect of his boards, and, you know, like, I was into his products, and, you know, I don't know, maybe if you heard, you know, I don't know, he just seemed to like me, and we just got on. He was a pretty cool, down-to-earth guy,
Yeah.
and I really liked him, you know, and what's funny is, like, we went to, where's that South Australia park with the 3 bowls?
Fulham.
Yeah, I went there, and I was just riding the capsule, and there wasn't a lot I could do, you know. I'm just doing these frontside airs and stuff, you know, and later on, you know, I felt a bit like you had Dorfus like airing out of one
my
into that
God,
one,
yeah.
airing out of that one, trying to cross over into another bowl, and like,
There's a name I haven't heard in years.
Rest in peace.
and you had other people just shrouping that tight like bowl, and has he passed away?
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah.
That's sad.
Yeah, a few years ago.
Not from a transfer, because he looked like he was going to die on those. That dude went like
He went
scarily
hard,
high.
dude.
Dude, Pat Rhodes went the other way. He went out of the medium one into the big one.
Oh shit.
Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, but Dorfus was trying that this day.
He was trying the same thing?
Yeah, he was trying from the medium one into the deep realm.
Yeah. Well, Pat Rhodes did it, for
Yeah,
sure.
right.
I saw there was a sequence in.
I don't know how they get the speed, or,
I have no idea, yeah.
Crazy, eh?
or the balls, you know. It's just like
No shit.
it's just death defying.
It is
Like-
death defying.
You know, he's like really. It was scary to watch Dorfus, man. I didn't know Pat Rhodes could do things like that. That's a crazy transfer.
It is, yeah.
Those guys in Adelaide are really good.
Yeah. Kind of isolated over there.
Really mellow
Yeah.
people, and they skate really hard, which kind of sucks when you go and do a demo and they're all better than you, you know. But I was doing these sketchy frontside airs, but later on, you know, I'm like, you know, talking to Tony, going, you know, I feel like I'm not really, you know, feeling that I'm contributing much to these demos, you know. And Tony's just going, I love the front side air, dude. I love the front side air. And I didn't realise
That's
at the
his
time.
trick, isn't it?
I didn't realise at the time that he invented them. And it's something for me to later on to realise that's why he said I like your front side airs. Because he thought I was doing it as a tribute to him.
Right, out of respect.
No, but I mean, and I would have. Like,
We just felt sorry for you.
I didn't put it together, you know. Maybe I didn't know that at the time. I just didn't think of it. Because I don't even think of it as front side air. I think in my head, I'm a street skater. It's like an indie, you know, like a front side.
Front side indie.
You know, it's an indie grab, you know.
So funny.
Yeah, but, you know, it's not in a swimming pool like he did. But, yeah, like, and then you realise, you know, he was doing that long before anyone.
Yeah.
And that used to be the hottest thing, you know. And now you're doing it and feeling bummed because, you know, it's not good enough, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you had your own vibe and your own style, and you bring that, you know. Well, I think Darren and I were talking about that recently, about how, you know, you do tend to want to compare yourself to other skaters, especially at a skate park. But really, you just got your own flavour, and you just got to stick with that and whatever's working for you, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. But, you know, again, back then you mentioned at the start, like, back then there was no access to social media and less availability for being exposed to what was new and happening. And, yeah, like skate videos and skate mags were so influential, you know. Like, I kind of feel like if you're the editor of a skate mag, you were kind of like one of the original influencers. You know, would you have, like, people coming at you, you know, trying to be in the magazine and trying to win favour with you and things like that?
Oh, probably, yeah. You know, like, there's certain people, I don't want to put them in it, but, like,
Yeah.
they're all your best mate, you know. Like, I better not say his name.
Darren-
But a younger
Darren
guy from Round Curl. Nah, not Darren.
I'm joking.
But, you know, he was always like, oh, yeah, you going that? And then came up and he asked me some question, and I said, mate, I don't do that job anymore. He was like, oh, right, and then just had no interest in me anymore. Like,
Oh, no.
Who was
he was
that?
like, oh, okay.
Not the guy that got the cover shot.
No.
No.
Sure it wasn't Darren.
Starts with A and ends in R. Don't say it.
Don't say it, Darren.
It's got a Z in it.
Ah.
Yeah. No, but I like the guy. It was just, you know, just things like that.
Yeah.
You realised, well, that was the thing. Like, you didn't really realise who. I mean, you had your tight homie. When everything went pear-shaped, though, that's when I realised who my real friends were, you know, like really.
Yeah.
People that really cared
Who
about
showed up for you?
Yeah, but I never finished talking about that 50-50 that was in Transport.
Oh, yeah. Dude, let's go.
Yeah, well, so Joel, because I'd hung out with him, and then I was with my mate Foxy in Bondi, and they were all staying at the Bondi Hotel.
Foxy, why does that name ring a bell?
And the Mardi Gras was on or whatever, and I knew they were there, and I thought they're just sitting in the hotel and shit. And so I just went up there to Foxy, and I was blind, and I'm like, we got to go to Mardi Gras, come on, boys,
Foxy.
we're coming out. And Jeff Taylor stayed there, but Joel Patterson and Ryan G came with us. And we got my tiny little Honda, and I'm like overtaking cars around bends, like on the way out of, you know, Bondi, up Bryan Street or whatever it is, or...
Is this the same guy you grinded the coping at Curl Park?
Yeah.
O'Brien Street?
I was blind, right? And these guys are just like white knuckled, just shitting themselves. And then when we got up to Oxford Street, it's all blocked off and everything, and I couldn't find any parking. Apparently, like, I don't even remember it. Like, I was that drunk. I started driving down the footpath on Oxford Street.
In Mardi Gras.
Yeah.
To avoid traffic.
Yeah, mate. And it was, you know...
You were a bit of a loose cannon, eh?
It was trannies and wigs and things.
People flying around.
And those guys were just going, what the fuck?
Hey, just on a side note, was Foxy from Vaucluse?
Rose Bay.
Rose, I remember
But, I
him.
mean, he used to skate Vaucluse.
I've got a story about him when you're ready. Go.
Yeah, no, you go, because I need to...
You need to piss. Okay, well, let's pause it there anyway.
Okay.
All right, Gordo, legend. Got that. Listen, we've just had a toilet break. Quick, finish the story about the 50-50 and caption in Transworld. So you had a 50-50 photo in Transworld.
In the Australia article? Is that what,
Yeah, because I was hanging out with them and Amelia was there and I'm like, because they were doing an Australia article, and I said, you know, Amelia's got this sequence of me because Curry didn't use it in Slam. So it was
Not good enough for
available.
Yeah.
No. But so I said,
Feel like something's there.
Amelia's got this photo, can we send it in? And they're like, yeah, sure. And then, and they ran with it. And, the caption was funny. Like, I should maybe go and get it so I can read it properly. But basically said, Gordon Auchinachie, he's like the editor of Australian Skateboarding to rival the popular Slam. He almost gave a Transworld photographer and me a massive heart attack after trying to find parking on Oxford Street in his golf cart-sized Ford, even though it was a Honda. And he said, but, take him out of his...
That's a long caption.
But then, he said, but put him on a skateboard, you have a world of control added to his reckless personality.
How do you feel about being described as a reckless personality back then?
Well, it's true.
Well, you would agree with it?
Yeah.
Would you comparatively say you're still a reckless personality?
I board slid the escalator in my Honda at Park, blind drunk.
Blind drunk?
Yeah. And then went onto the footy field doing 80k handbrakies with Wade, until we realised the whole football team was staring at us with folded arms and decided we better go back.
During footy training?
Yeah, well, they just knocked off. Like, they were at the shed, like we couldn't see them when we went out there. But then we went back through the park to get out there, and the police arrived.
All right.
Because there was a dude at the skate park, an old man, and he was actually a bit crazy. And he'd rung the police. He had the first mobile phone. And the police arrived because everyone's going, keep going, get out of here. Nat the Cat and all that, going, get out of here. And I'm like, what are you talking about? And then I just parked, got out of the car, and the cops pulled up. And they'd seen me, come along Pittwater Road. They'd seen us doing these handbrakies out in the grass. And this dude came up, and there's this manly cop there, and this dude comes up, the one that made the complaint. He's got the phone. He goes, there he is, that's him. And he goes, he was doing skateboard stunts in the skate park with his car. He was doing board slides with his car. Right? But because he was a bit retarded or crazy or something, like, it just sounded insane. And, like, this cop was like...
Yeah, right.
The cop looked at me, like, with this awkward look on his face.
Like, yeah.
And he goes, is that true, mate? Are you doing skate tricks in your car? And I went, no, I went through the park to get out onto the grass. He goes, yeah, we saw you out in the grass. Look, mate, here you go. I'll give you a neg. And I'm there the whole time trying to hold my breath. I would have been high range. And
no way. So he didn't even test you?
Oh, mate,
Things are different back then, hey?
So, mate, I was absolutely stoked on the neg driving ticket. It was only like 1 point or 3 point or whatever it was.
Dude,
it wasn't loss of licence and everything else.
Everything else, yeah. Criminal record.
Yeah, but, like, he just didn't, he was embarrassed to ask me. It's like, no, what are you talking about?
He didn't know who he was messing with. Yeah. Can I, though, like, unpack a little bit? Like, why do you think you felt so reckless back then? Like, why were you, like, wanting to do crazy shit like that?
I don't know. I was just sort of hyped, especially when I drank alcohol. It just made me really hyped, and I just wanted to do shit. I just couldn't sit still. I wanted to just do something and have fun. But also, I wanted to set the boys off.
Oh, of course.
All the boys were there. We just watched the Amnesia video.
Sick.
Loves Ugly Children, and Darren was in it, and Shane Wallace and Ben Cotton. And these are all my favourite skaters, all in one place with Daddy Yo, who, was there editing plebs with me, and, he's a legend. And I was so happy that he'd done this really sick video.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Well, that's a good segue.
Like, it was actually really awesome. And I was just so psyched, and he had free booze, and I was just blind, and I'm like, mate, I just want to go off, It's my turn.
That's
spotlight.
I'm too drunk to skate, but I can still drive.
That's a good segue. Like, speaking of sick skate videos, let's talk about plebs, man. Like, in my opinion, it's like probably my favourite Australian skate video of that generation for sure.
Oh, yeah? Cool, man.
You're not the only person that said that as well.
Well, you know what's funny? Like, when I look back, you know, it's a bit dated. Like, everyone just wanted to skate flatland and, you know, that kind of thing. But you know that part in Nowra, everyone comments on Julian doing the mutt and we're all blind.
Oh, yeah, still.
Even Dustin Dolan, he was like, mate, that's like, you were doing like a Baker video way back. Like, dude, like, because he hadn't seen it back then. And I showed him when he's come back from the States. I go, have you ever seen Plebs, dude? And he loved that. He's going, no, dude, that's sick.
Julian wasted trying to kickflip the mutt.
Yeah. Yeah. And I was wasted and
Trying
I
to
was
film
just
them.
being an absolute asshole to everyone. I was so drunk, and because everyone was telling me about it, what an asshole I was being, and like all this shit I did. And I remember trying to get out on the roof of Brooko's car at 120 kilometres an hour, and I was trying to like surf the roof and
Jeff Brooking,
just blind.
No
Because we rocked up to this party in Nowra. Like you were there, weren't you?
I think so. I was. I went. I bailed early that night.
But there was 2 kegs and there wasn't that many people. And, you know, I did my best to, you know,
Get your fair share.
to get through it. You know.
Yeah,
And,
but that, like, in terms of the context of the video, like the footage.
But the weird thing is I didn't remember any of that. That whole, I don't even remember going anywhere near the mutt or anywhere.
So you were blind when you were filming that,
I can't remember.
Blind drunk.
Oh, I can't remember a thing.
but you're saying
Right.
that was one of the
And
most spoken about parts
But
of the
they're all
movie.
telling me about all this shit, and you know, you did this and you spat on me and you bloody did, you know. I'm like, oh, you know, when you wake up drunk and you're like, oh, and then you know, Brooko's just gone, and you filmed it all. I'm like, what? I filmed it. So we put this video on. I'm watching the stuff that I can't remember any of it, you know. But now I feel like I can remember it because I've watched it. But at the time, I'm like, oh my god! And it was hard to watch a lot of it. Like I've edited it out, like you know.
Hard to watch because you were so wasted. And
I was just being an obnoxious, drunken asshole.
belligerent.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Like you see the footage where I've just loogied on Steve
I was
Rhodes.
thinking- and he was asking you to wipe it off.
But the good thing is that I was sitting there, like I put it in there too. I said, "Oh shit, I'm being a bit of a cunt, aren't I?" So I put that in there. At least I admitted it.
So, like, what prompted you to want to make that video in the first place? You just had a bunch of footage and ready to go, or had you planned it?
Well, I had to do a major work for uni.
Was that a university project?
Yeah.
Okay. I
But
didn't
like-
know that.
But I only kind of really did video because I want to make a skateboard video.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I kind of use that time you have at uni to make a skate vid because you don't normally have everyone, you know, it's not hard to make a skate vid, but it's hard to have the time to go out and film everyone and actually get all the footage. It's not that easy to, you know.
If you weren't passionate about it, it'd be very, very arduous, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I was able to be, you know, at uni and I'm doing it for a uni project, so it made it all kind of possible, you know. When
Yeah, studying.
Yeah. And, yeah, but, you know, the start of it with the suit, where
That
that
was so
idea
sick.
came from, is because one day we're in North Sydney and we're like, I want to do that double set. And my mate's like, yeah, my mate Ben Falby's like, yeah, I'll hold the door open. I'm like, sweet. And I went into the foyer and I started pushing. I didn't realise there's this dude just trying to grab me. And I was pushing and taking off and he couldn't quite grab me and he's bolting behind me, trying to grab me, this security guard. And I've ollied, and as I've ollied, you know, I can hear him yelling and that, and it sort of put me off, and I bailed it, and I thought, mate, he was straight onto me, that bloke, you know. So then I had that idea later on that I wouldn't just, you know, walk into the place with a skateboard, you know. I'd be all dressed up in a suit like everyone that walks in there, you know. And I thought it'd just buy me enough time to have a good crack at it
Get that extra push in.
without anyone trying to tackle you, you know.
And it did.
Well, it ended up that, like, I didn't know what happened, but no one came out at all. It was like, oh, he's in a suit, you know, they got a camera, like...
He's got works here.
This is obviously, you know, business as usual. And so I had as many goes as I wanted at it, but, you know, there's only so many
So
goes you can
sick.
slam off of...
That's
you
a
know.
big double set. Was it six flat six or something?
No,
like
it's
that?
only flat four.
Oh, okay.
But it's just hard to get run up because you got to go across one of them. Like
Yeah.
you got to
Yeah.
push faster than
Yeah.
you get slowed down a bit. It was a little bit.
But to put it in context for those that may not have seen it, like you had your run up was inside a office building.
Yeah, the foyer.
You were in the foyer of a building, so you've come racing out of that and then ollied off it. Yeah. So
Yeah.
just for those that haven't seen it. It's
Yeah,
insane.
and I needed homeboy to. That day it was Rees to hold the glass doors open. So I didn't.
So you had the door open. So it's like,
Yeah, it had those automatic glass doors. So yeah, you needed someone there. Wade filmed it, and
And you got a second shot?
Oh, well, I sort of just ollied it, and then because no one was busting me, and I was trying other stuff.
You try a heel flip?
No, I tried a kicky.
Kicky.
And the front foot came off, and
So sick.
Yeah. Committed too, I
it
remember.
was almost a horrible slam, but somehow I just handled. Just put the shoulder in. You know, I noticed these techniques that I used. I didn't
Yeah.
realise that I did, like slapping your hands together,
Yeah, right.
that and hitting your shoulder.
At the same time.
Yeah, like it
Wow.
sort of supports your shoulder as you slam.
Okay. I
didn't know
Slap
that.
Hands together. Well, I neither did I. I was
Unconscious.
just watching the footage
Yeah.
of what happened. It just happens unconsciously.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. Like it absorbs the impact of something through your hands.
Yeah, well, you're going to
Transfers it.
land on your shoulder
Yeah.
instead of it just crumpling. You put your two hands together and you can strengthen it more.
Interesting, hey?
Like, yeah.
So crazy.
Yeah.
Anyway, listen, it's been epic. Like it's, you've been on here for about an hour and 40 minutes, Gordo. Is there anything else we want to talk about that you just sort of burning desire?
Oh, man, I have to talk about Holmes.
And let's go. Christian
Mate,
Hosoi.
Yeah, I was in a bad way, I was really depressed and I was an alcoholic and really fat, and I didn't realise the situation I was in, sort of thing. I was just sort of going through life, and I heard Christian Hosoi was at the beach road this day. I was at the beach here, and I'm like, no way, I want to go and... Because he'd been in jail for like 5 years, and I wanted to go and sort of go, hey man, it's good you're out, and like sort of say stoked to see you, and I thought he needed to be like cheered up or whatever, he might feel a bit down after being in jail, and but I wasn't sure if it was Sergio Ventura or Christian. I hadn't seen him in a long time, and so I just said my name. I said, hi, I'm Gordon, and he said, hi, I'm Christian, and I just said, Holmes, can I give you a hug? And he's like, yeah, sure. Gave him a big hug. And then he just started preaching to me. I didn't realise he'd become a Christian when he went into jail. His testimony is amazing. He never even read a Bible or anything like that. And when he went in there, and his girlfriend was telling him, he was asking for a lawyer, and he's saying, you don't need a lawyer, you need God, And he was like, no, I don't need that. But then he said the sinner's prayer on the phone with some minister, and I could let him recount his story, which I didn't know at the time, all this stuff, and he started preaching to me, and people are sort of trying to drag me away and go, oh, don't let him Bible bash you or whatever, and
You're like, it's Holmes.
he ended up talking to me. The pub had shut, and it's 3 a.m. up on a street corner in Bondi, and I'm there with Sid Tapier and him and another friend, Luke Firmage, and there's some other Christian guy was there. And, he had the bowl comp, the Bolorama the next day and everything. And he really needs to go home and get some sleep and that. And he's there trying to get through to me and trying to get me to become a believer, which I've tried in the past. I thought if I read the Bible, and I understand it, then I'll be a Christian. But you never really understand it. Like, I'd never realised, no one had told me that you got to say the sinner's prayer. And Sid was there explaining the message of the cross to me, and I still couldn't get it. How did he, how does his blood, cover our sin? Or like, how are we going back in time? And, because you don't have that element of the power of God, you don't understand the power of God, and you can't really understand Holy Scripture until you have the Holy Spirit. But it's a catch-22, and you can only get the Holy Spirit by saying the sinner's prayer, by believing in the message of the cross, even though you might not understand it. And he was the first person who finally said, Gordo, because he was standing over here, he goes, you got to stand over here. It's like you got to move from where you are in life now. You got to stand over here, hold my hand, and say this prayer. And finally, it was like, that's what you got to do. you know? And I'm like, oh, sure. And I just held his hand, held Sid's hand, and my friend Luke, we all made this big circle, this other Christian guy, and we all just said the sinner's prayer. And, man, I felt the Holy Spirit. I didn't know at the time it was the Holy Spirit, but I just felt peace. I felt joy. You know, after this, I'm going down to 7-Eleven going, I'm a Christian now. I was just so happy. I had all this joy. And I was seeing my life turning around. I was seeing how because he said to me things like, you know, aren't you going to be worried about people calling you a Bible basher and this and that? I go, you know, I've been a woman basher. Like, and I don't know if he knew what I meant by that, but I was seeing how it was all turning around. And that's not something to be proud of or want to be. It was like, but it sort of prepared me. I've always been the worst you can be. Like, what, mate, they call me a Bible basher. Sweet, that's awesome. Like, you know, I'm not going to be worried about that. I've been a horrible person, you know what I mean? And so, like, I was just seeing how everything was now turning around. And, like, I felt the, you know, the deposit of the Holy Spirit. And I was like, wow. And he's like, have you got a Bible? I go, yeah, I got an NIV study Bible. He's like, good. And I just went home after that. And I was still me. I was still doing all the things that I did. But I started reading the Word, you know. And then I'd read it in the past because other people are going, oh, this really means this. And the Ezekiel vision is really a UFO sighting. You know, the Bible is just straight up. It's just what it says is what it means, you know. And it's not hidden, it's not disguised, it's on display. And so I was reading the book of Revelation because I'd read that in a different context before. And I go, I just want to read it as it's written. And I was reading about the cherubim, the 4 angels that surround God's throne. And I saw one of them, and I saw its eyes all over it, and it was staring at me, and it's weird, right? But it was, whoa. And also, like, I was reading about, you know, what the Spirit says to the 7 churches. And I think it's a church in Philadelphia, but it's not even in the Bible. But I'm reading it, and it was just told to me, it said, your soul will never be scarred again. And it's not even in the Bible. Like, these things were happening, and then I saw these, I had a vision of the angel, and that was the first, like, full-on, you know, experience, and it was awesome, you know. I was like, whoa. And I went over to the computer, and I found the porn folder and just pressed delete. You know, it's like,
fuck, I love your honesty.
No, but I
love your honesty so much.
I just felt really convicted because I saw these eyes, and there's eyes all over them, and they see everything. It's like everything you do is being watched. Like, we're watching you.
So your life changed on that corner in Bondi at 3 a.m. with Holmes.
Yeah.
Like, your life was never the same since.
No, I mean, it probably didn't seem much different for a while. I just had to read the Word and get the Word into me, and then more things would happen. You know, like my mate Foxy saw me, like I just gave up drinking, you know, and I just completely changed. I wasn't a big, fat, bloated dude. I started to look, you know, I lost 30 kilos. I just looked different. And Foxy's like, man, you know, like, you got to tell me about Jesus, you know. And then I just said a prayer to God. I'm like, I didn't want to stuff it up because it was only early on. I didn't know a lot. And I just said, dear Lord, please be with me. And I just heard in this deepest voice, just so, Gordon, I am with you. Exactly.
I'm
like
laughing,
that.
but I'm not. I'm laughing in a good way.
And it just blew me away, man.
Oh shit!
And then I was about to talk to him in the lounge room, and I prayed again and said, dear Lord, please guide me. And he said it in a way that he's already doing it. He said, I am guiding you, Gordon. And I've never heard his voice directly like that since then. That was pretty full on. But both of those guys, there was another guy there, and he's Jewish, you know. And lately, with what's going on in the world, and he's seen, you know, evil in the world and stuff like that, like, he's become a believer in Christ, which is really hard for a lot of Jewish people. I mean, and I told him that, I go, Christianity was started by Jews. You know, salvation is first for the Jews. Like, this isn't strange. Like, it's not anti-Jew. You know, every word in the Bible is written by an Israelite or a Jew, you know. But yeah, it's those experiences that really change it and move you, because you want more of that. You're like, oh, hang on a second, like, if I'm doing all this sin and stuff, you know, I'm going to lose that Holy Spirit presence in these encounters with God. And so, and it's a better experience than anything you've ever had. It's better than any drug or anything, you know. And it's like you found something better. So it's like you found a solution, and so you're no longer looking at your problems. So, like, a lot of people are amplifying their problems. They're going to AA or whatever and talking about this big problem, and they're making it huge. And, you know, with Christianity. You're just looking past it. You're just reading about Jesus, and just miraculously things fall off you. There's no effort with Christ. You know, it's miraculous, and that's what people don't get. And you just got to sort of get to know him, and you know, just that love of God just gets into you, and you know, and you start to, you know, really kind of aspire to these spiritual experiences. You know,
I'll be straight with you. I feel a peace and kindness in you that I didn't see when I last spoke to you 20 years ago. There was an element of you 20 years ago that I was like, I'm going to steer clear of Gordo.
He's reckless.
But after spending the last couple of days with you, yeah, you have a really calming, peaceful kindness that's very different to the Gordo I used to know. So just an observation.
Yeah, well, I'm glad. I'd be worried if it wasn't some kind of change. But, you know, I'm not perfect, and I've still, you know, done things that lately, you know, that aren't perfect or what, and I'm not asking people to follow me, you know. I'm not saying, because like I had a friend, my really good mate, Garth Bag, and I said to him, man, you know, you got to believe in Jesus or whatever, and he was like, well, you know, I like people that, you know, I think you should lead by example, because I just told him, you know, that I've gone to this party or whatever and done whatever, and he was like, you know, I think you should lead by example. I didn't really have a comeback for them, but what I should have said was, I'm trying to lead you to Christ, and, you know, I'm not perfect, bro. I'm just telling you I've experienced Christ, and he's awesome, and I'm just trying to put you in touch with him, you know. But that's what sucks about sin and things like that. Other people, it's not going to change my salvation, but it'll affect other people believing. They're not going to, you know, take you seriously, you know, if they see you just, you know, sinning and stuff. So, you know, it isn't great, but you're saved by grace, by faith, and it's you know, you don't worry about that. And, you know, it's a journey, and you fail, but you fail forward, and you take it to God, and it's a journey. You know, it's
interesting how non-believers expect Christians to be the ambassadors of perfection. It's just like they'll very readily call a Christian a hypocrite.
Yeah,
which is something I've done repeatedly throughout the course of my whole life, I'll add. But
yeah, but it's because people don't understand the word. Like, that's because they think it's about rules, and you got to do all these rules. Like, the Catholic Church actually preaches this, and it's incorrect doctrine. They say, if you be good, if you do these good deeds, God will love you, you know? And that's just completely incorrect. He already loves you. You've just got to have faith in Jesus Christ, and his blood atones for your sin. The righteousness that you get, being morally upright, is a gift from God. Like, it's not something you can earn or do. It's not through your works. But once you receive that and you get to know God, you start to naturally...
Your nature changes?
Yeah, you do get a new nature, yeah.
But
you start to naturally, you know, move away from sin and stuff. But, you know, so your brain is still in the past. It's still a bit going through whatever it's going through.
Programming?
Yeah, programming, you know, and stuff you've done for years. So it can take a bit of time. But it's only through God's grace, and you just have to believe in Jesus. It's that simple, and you get eternal life in heavenly realms by having that faith in the message of the cross that allows his blood to atone for you. So now you can be reconciled to God, because we're separate, because God is like eternal, he's perfect. Sin is what God isn't, you know, like he won't lie, he won't steal, you know. It's showing you these aspects. And so when God said, you know, don't eat from that tree, because that tree is not what he eats from, you know, that was the only rule. But because he did what God isn't, see, now he has that sin in him. God can't reside with that. He's not sin. He's the opposite to that. They can't co-inhabit. So not only did God had to leave him, and anything that's not at one with God cannot be eternal. Anything that's one with God is eternal and imperishable, but anything that's not him, it has to die, it has to end, has to have an end to it. And yeah, it's only through allowing Christ's blood to cover you. So he's paid for everything that you've done, past, present and future. He's taken your sin on board with him and died with it, and it's through faith that you have access to that, and it's God's gift. And he's gone through excruciating pain and torture and death and humiliation for us to be able to receive that, like through that pain at the cross, where God the Father and the Son were separated whilst he had all that sin on him. I mean, it was excruciatingly, unimaginably painful. But that's how he's imparted his love onto us. But it's the only way, because what he's actually trying to do, actually doing, is he's creating gods. You know, the Pharisees went to Jesus and said, we're accusing you of blasphemy. And blasphemy, the sin of blasphemy is where you actually try to convince other people that you are God. So you have to really go out of your way and try and convince people that you are God or the Holy Spirit. So it's not easy to commit blasphemy, but they're saying that him talking of God as his Father is saying that he's the Son of God, and therefore he's equal with God, and that's blasphemy. But he was the Son of God, so it's not, because he's not lying. But he didn't say that to them. He always would respond to them and give more wisdom for everyone, And he says, well, not just me, but, isn't it written in the law? And he's referring to this psalm where it's talking about in a future time on this holy hill in the heavenly realm, on, I'd say, Mount Zion, that he was amongst the gods, like that all the people for whom the scriptures have come are all destined to be gods. Gotcha. Not just me, the Son of God, like all the people. So this is what he's actually creating. It's gods, eternal beings, imperishable beings like him. But it takes a huge process. It takes a big, you look at the creation. It's like this. You look at God's plan, from a step back, and it's like he can snap his fingers. He can say a word, and he can create animals. He can create angels. There's things that he can create without too much power, But to create gods, it takes a long process. It takes people, a learning and experience and building character and, and making the wrong decisions and, and sort of realising why God is good, and seeing what the alternatives are. And I don't know exactly, but basically, he's creating gods and he's made it possible. Because that's kind of what Adam was. But he wasn't completed, but he was the glory of God. He was an eternal being, but he wasn't the fully completed man that he wanted and that he was designing. But so it was all a process, because there would have just been Adam and Eve forever. It would have just been God and Adam and Eve. They're his two homies. But because he sinned and now he became flesh, mortal, he had to reproduce to keep going. Now there's millions, billions of God, So what Satan did for bad, God's turned it around to good. It's like, well, you tried to, kill this, my creation, but what you've done is just absolutely multiplied it. That's sort of what God does, and I guess he's a step ahead. Like, Satan isn't really an adversary. He's just trying to intercept between God and man. He can't defeat God. I mean, he's a created being within the creation, and we learn that the angels learn about God all the time. They're going through a timeline like we are, learning about God, learning about new stuff all the time. And it's in Ephesians, and they're always saying, "Holy, holy, holy is Lord God Almighty." But he has the eternal viewpoint, like he can see the future, the past, everything like that. So he's not. It's not a competition. It's just, but God has used him in the bigger picture to actually carry out his plan, even though what he's doing is bad. He's always that step ahead, knew he was going to do it and used it all for good. And he's actually helping him to complete his plan.
Speaking of future though, what would you say, or what do you feel like your hopes for the future are from here? What are some things that you would look forward to happening in your life in the future? Well, I just really hope that I might be able to get through to a lot of people, because I feel that it's not the return of Christ, that's the second coming, but the rapture, and there will be some people, I think, saved after the rapture. They're called the gleanings of the harvest, but I believe the rapture is really not long away, and and
in the darkness of these times, I think that's when God's light shines the most. And I'm just hoping that I might be able to lead a lot of people to Christ. You know, I mean, I found out my gift is teaching. You know, I can, a spiritual gift of teaching the word. But, but you still get the other offices. You can still evangelize, you can still heal, you can still prophecy. But, I think evangelism is really important because, that's where you're introducing people to Christ,
Crazy, man.
And that's all that needs to be done,
Dude, and that's how you want to live the rest of your life?
Well, I don't think I'm going to be in this mortal flesh for much longer. From my calculations, I guess I could be wrong, but I think the rapture is soon after the full solar eclipse on the 8th of April in 2024.
Okay.
So, I'm not expecting to be around for very long, but maybe I will. I mean, who knows? But at the moment, I'm just focused on looking after my mum, and then, if something happens with her or things change, then I'll look at what else I might do. But it would be good to get to a few people, and I'm getting inspired now just doing this podcast. I might make some videos explaining, the end times and what my understanding of the end times, and which is very controversial sort of area of the Bible, and there's a lot of people looking at it right now because I believe we're in it, so it is very relevant.
I think one thing I find interesting about you, just with your background too, you are a deep researcher and analyst. So these aren't concepts that you're just throwing around. These are things that you've personally studied over a long period of time. Well,
I've just studied the Bible. I started reading it, and you found the truth,
Yeah.
And then you just get all these questions, and you just get this real hunger for wanting to know all the details. I mean, maybe all the details aren't that important about, the different realms and, all the stuff you can go into and all the details about future prophecy. But the main thing is Christ and Him crucified. But it just absolutely interests me. I just want to know, the true reality of what's really going on, the truth.
Yeah.
And that's what I've found, and it's absolutely incredible. And the funny thing is, Jesus says the truth will set you free. The more you get into it, the more awesome you realise the truth is. It's actually so amazing. At first you're a bit like, oh, okay, with your eyes a bit covered, guarded, what's the truth? Like opening a little box, like, oh, what's in there, But the deeper you get into it, the more incredible it is, because the closer you're getting to, understanding God. And He's kind of hidden, but He is just so good.
The more peaceful you feel?
Oh, yeah, everything. I have to tell you this quick story, because it relates to Christian. A few years later, that must have been like 2007, I don't know. In 2008, he came back to Australia and he was going to do like a Hillsong, like he was going to do it. His testimony, like a sermon about his testimony and his life, and I'm like, yeah, that was cool. I was going to go see that, with Sid. And, Sid was there with him, but I was just going to, all right. And it was on Father's Day, so I was going to take my dad and everything. But before that night, like about 1 a.m, so it's Father's Day. It's like 1 a.m. It's Sunday. It's the 8th, which is a number of eternity. Like the 8th day. People don't realise there's an 8th day, and that's eternity.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so many weird things. And my mate Foxy was there, and I was preaching to him, and he goes, dude, your face is glowing. And he said it was like purple, and I was just glowing. And I went into my room, and I went to open the Word, and I've opened on 2 Corinthians. And when I got saved, Christian said, go read 2 Corinthians 5:17. Therefore, if anyone is in Christ, he's a new creation. The old has gone, the new has come. So I was like, 2 Corinthians, I'm going to see Christian. It just made me think of that. I'm just at the first page. I must have finished 1 Corinthians. I was just going to read my Bible. And then all the words just swirled off the page. And then the whole room just faded. And then I was just having these visions I can't even explain, like where it's like your mind's tapped into God's, like He's just showing you the bandwidth of information. It's like I'm out in space just seeing all this stuff. Like the room's half faded away, and he first showed me this golden flaming ring of honor, because it's sort of hidden in the Bible. It doesn't clearly point it out. Like the Bible's sort of scattered, but I saw it early along. Like the Holy Spirit guides you and goes, and it tweaks you to things that are in there that are a bit concealed. Because you're not honouring yourself. I'm not here saying I'm perfect. I'm not perfect. I don't want people to follow me. I'm wanting to lead people to Christ. I'm not honouring myself. I'm honouring Christ. And Christ was the same. He honoured God the Father. And it's God the Father that will give you honour. So you just honour Christ. And it goes around in this circle. So no one's like honouring themselves, But it's just, that's how we are made sort of one with God, is through honour. Like, I kind of think that, like, he just showed me that. That was a very important thing. And then he showed me the battle in heaven and earth that it's already fought and won. He showed me this victory. And it was kind of like he let me in on a little secret. And he's like, it was never a battle. Like, it wasn't even a contest. Like, that's all a bit of an illusion. Like, really, like, you're in Christ, you're in victory. Like, it's done. And then I saw the pain of the cross, and I went through the pain of the cross, that God the Father went through all this excruciating pain. I saw this incredible pain, and I went through it, and out the other side I just saw God's goodness. That this pain that he went through to save us is absolute, like, love for us. Like, through that pain is our incredible joy. And then I had all this water rush, like water rushing into me and just flying out of me, like, just going,
like
whoa.
a hallucination?
No, you could just feel it. Like, it's like water, like, just flying out of me. And I got tears because the joy was so heavy. I've got tears pouring out of my face.
Like tears of relief?
Tears like pouring, like not normal, like pouring, of joy. It's just, and this water was rushing into me and rushing out, because what happened is I was being baptized in the Holy Spirit.
Wow.
And the Bible says that on that day, streams of living water will flow from within you. And then I saw, like, I just experienced this joy that just went up and up and up, and it was just an unbearable. It's like this body was taken, like, with this pain. Body gives us a lot of pain or something like that. It's like I was out of the body or something, and I was just feeling this, like, pure spiritual joy. And it was too much. Like, it was like, whoa, I couldn't handle the joy. And he backed it off on me. And then, I've just seen God's face. I've just seen his goodness. Like, I just was staring at how good he was. And it's just so incredible, and to realise there is eternal life, that this is real, like, it's just absolutely, it was so mind-blowing. But the first thing I did is I went into the other room, down the stairs, and I put my face on the ground. And I was just thanking you for being a good God. Thank you for sending your son. Just thank you so much, God. I love you so much. And as I'm saying this, there's a dude on the TV. Like, I stopped praying, and then I went to sit up on the chair, and then the dude on the TV just goes, "Now let's pray." And he said this really simple prayer about Jesus. And it was sort of telling me, hey, calm down, look, it's all good, like, don't freak out. Like, it's not difficult. All you have to do is lead people to Jesus. You don't have to do much. Just introduce people to him. Okay. And that's what Christians did to me, And then I went to the Hillsong Church, and I met Christian and Sid, and I didn't tell him then, he's about to go on. I didn't want to tell him all this stuff. And then after he finished his sermon, and my dad was going, oh, this is the guy that led you to Christ. Like, he's hearing his story, like, about the Christ air and everything, all these spiritual markers, he was calling them. And then afterwards, like, him and Sid came out, and I waited for a while because a lot of people were talking to him for a while. And then I just told him in, like, scriptural words. I had all this scripture going from my hand, and basically just told him, like, I was speaking words, quoting the Bible, like how Christian planted that seed of faith, and that Sid, like, watered it, and he baptized me in water. Sid Tapia baptized me at the Hillsong Church once.
Did he?
Yeah, in this clear container, Sid. Like, all on video. I went and got baptized, and I was saying, and then I should have then said that God made it grow, but then I said, earlier this morning the Spirit of the Lord came to me and he baptized me in living water.
Wow, man.
And they're going, what? And, like, I just, all these scriptures just, like, coming out, and then something told me, just shut up, like, just stop talking. Because I had, when when you get this anointing, when you get the heavenly realm on you, you can just recall all this scripture and just quote it, and like it's like being like drunk, but you can remember everything perfectly. Like you're in this weird state, but it's just like,
Dude.
But then something, God basically told me, hey, just hold it for a second. And then Christian like shook his head, and he had a vision, and he just came right up to my face, said, Gordo, you're not just going to be a preacher of the word, you're going to be some kind of professor of the word.
Yeah, dude.
And Sid's going, really? And he's going, and Christian, I saw, he's going, yeah, I can see it. Like he had a vision, right? And then he's just going, man, he's just going, I love you, Gordo. And I'm going, I love you too, Christian. And giving him a big hug. And it was like calling him Christian, even his name. Like this whole day was such a trip, and even his name. And there's more that happened that day. So many things kept happening. Like I came home, my friend, but I went to get the bus home from Bondi Junction, and I got on the wrong bus. And when I'm on the bus, I'm like, oh, I turned the wrong way. I got on the wrong bus. I go, oh, God must want to show me something. Like, that's what I thought. Like, well, how would I get on the wrong bus?
Right.
It was going down near the beach road, but before it got to the block before the beach road, I just closed my eyes and said, dear Lord, please reserve for me the lowest place in the kingdom of heaven. Because the lowest place there would be the, greatest place imaginable. And I really meant it. And it's very personal to me because, like I said, I used to read the Bible, and I hadn't said the sinner's prayer, but one thing that really connected with me was those who humble themselves, those who exalt themselves shall be humbled, but those who humble themselves will be exalted. Like you always take the lowest, he uses the example of at the dinner banquet, you always take the lowest place at the table. You don't go and take the place of honour, because you're only ever going to be promoted. But if you go and take the place of honour, they might say, oh no, your spot's down there. You're going to be, you're only going to be exalted.
Gotcha.
But it was just a personal thing, because that made sense to me. When you go and tell people, oh, I did the sickest kickflip, and everyone's like, oh, shut up, But if you just don't say anything, someone come along and go, man, that was a mad kicky, in yourself. We've all done it. You try and, exalt yourself, and it just made sense. I'd seen it, I'd experienced it. That was true, but it's a lot deeper than that. There's a lot more to it, and
it's compelling, and it's just
But then what happened is, I said that prayer, I opened my eyes, and there's a tall chair sitting in the middle of the bus, a tall wooden chair. And I'm like, that's really weird. And so the bus driver's not driving off, because there's this tall chair sitting in the middle of the bus that's not meant to be there. And I'm just sitting there, the bus has stopped, and I realise outside some naughty dude had grabbed this chair from the pizza shop and just put it on there. But see, I asked for the lowest place.
You think it was symbolic?
Yeah, because he uses chairs, because those chairs are really thrones, and he put a tall chair there. It was just one of the things. And then I was eating my tubes, like some chips. And they're obviously not good for you, because then all the bottom was all weird and gooey, like some weird paranormal stuff. I'm like, whoa, this is weird. And then I get home and mate Foxy, he's just been down at Bondi getting preached to by some guy, and he's like, dude, he had this biggest glow on him, just gave him a big hug. And
so you had the trippiest day.
This day, yeah. And then I went to go and read my Bible, right? I'm like, what's going on, And I just opened it on a random page. I got Psalm 45. And it was just God speaking to me, and that's God the Father talking to God the Son. That's the Father talking to the Christ, and it's a wedding psalm, because there's going to be this marriage supper of the Lamb. But it just says King David wrote it, and I loved King David. He wasn't perfect, and like a lot of people in the Bible, they're not perfect. Like he sent his best friend to the front lines to get killed, but he loved God, and that was the most important thing, and he repented, and he pulled himself into line, and like Moses murdered a guy, he's like, I'll just go for a while.
I didn't know that.
And come back, and it's not about being perfect, but it's having a heart for God and turning your heart for God and loving God, and everything will work out. But
so is that what you do when you're in times of trouble now? If you're feeling sad, agitated, scared, your process is to turn to God.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah, that's the best thing you can do. I don't know if I always do it, but like that is the best option, and he's always there. And the worse things are, the more his grace will abound. You know? So, but this, I mean, someone, you know, if you go and read Psalm 45 for yourself, I mean, I could quote the start of it, but it was just.
So that was like that day was like one of the most life-changing days of your life. Then.
Oh, that just, there's nothing even that compares. You got the Apostle Paul, and he was actually being given revelations. See, everything that I saw is in the Word. It's not new information. I'm not sharing with you like a revelation. Yeah. It was a deepening of understanding. It was being baptized in the Spirit. But the Apostle Paul had a revelation, and he was saying, I don't know if it's in the body or out of the body, but he was shown all this info, and he shared it with us. It was new info in the Bible. Okay. But, you know, he couldn't describe it, like you can't really put it into words. The experience, you know, it's but absolutely incredible. God is so good, you know. Dude,
I'm feeling it. I just want to change trajectory just slightly because we need to sort of start to wind it up and grab some dinner. But that's funny you keep mentioning this guy Foxy, because I almost died with Foxy. True story. Like one of my only near-death experiences was I was with Foxy. We just skated Vaucluse High all afternoon, and it was right on dusk, and we were going to skate to Rose Bay. And so you know how to get to Rose Bay is down that hill. I think it was Old Southhead or New Southhead. Old Southhead Road or New Southhead Road, and it's
Old South.
Old Southhead Road, and it's a really long, gradual hill, and you go so fast. Like you get to a point where you can't bail, where you just have to commit. And this one night, we'd been drinking long necks in the afternoon, and so we were drunk. We both had long necks in our hand, and Foxy's like, and we're going down, but it was right on dusk. So it was peak hours, like 5 in the afternoon, so that it was busy as. And the only times we ever used to bomb it was in the middle of the night, right? And this one night, Foxy's like, yeah, man, let's just bomb it. And I'm like, with long necks in our hand, drunk at 5 o'clock at night, when there's cars everywhere. So I start bombing it. I get to that. Foxy's ahead of me. Both got a long neck in our hand, probably doing close to 60k an hour. Foxy's ahead of me. And then I get to that point in the hill where I'm going so fast that you can't stop.
Just after that servo on the left.
Yeah. And you just, that's it. Like you're committed now. You can't jump off. You have to stay on till you slow down. And I'm bombing it. And next thing you know, a car turns in front of me to turn into a cross street, didn't see me. And my only option was to, at the last minute, swerve into oncoming traffic without looking. And I'd missed this car by millimetres, still holding my long neck. And then I swerved back. And then there's a bus coming at me in the opposite direction. I swerved back in and just missed it. And then I was just like, I thought I was dead when that bus was coming. I'm like, I'm dead. And then I got back into the road. And I was like, oh my God, I lived. Then got death wobbles. It threw me so hard. I had my long neck in my hand, and my long neck, just because I was like getting thrown, like cylindrical force through me, my long neck went just past my face and smashed on the road right next to me. Boom, I rolled, banged my head 3 or 4 times and survived. And I've still got a scar on my hip and my shoulder from that slam. But that was the only time I almost died twice in the one incident. And it was with Foxy. And I often think about that incident and the fact that you're bringing him up all night and we're here talking about, I don't know, some good stuff. It's pretty interesting to me. Yeah. And I haven't thought of that incident since like 20 years.
Well, I'll tell you one more story. Foxy, his parents owned a video shop up there at the top of the hill.
Yeah.
Movie Land. And I used to rock up and hang out in that, you know, when he's knocking off, and we only had one board. Like, he just had a board. I didn't have a board. He goes, you know, this is what we'll do. You just stand on the front, you know, like hanging 10 on the front of his board.
Yeah.
And he stands sideways behind you. And he goes, we'll just, you know, we'll both ride, you know. I'm like, all right, man, you're going to slow down though, aren't you? He's like, yeah. And then what he does is he holds his shoulders and he goes, let me just steer you, you know, with your shoulders. And so he pushed off and we start going down the hill, and he goes, are you going to slow down? And he's like, I'm just hanging 10 down that hill doing what you did, you know, and then you're hitting that fast bit, like hanging 10 straight on with Foxy holding your shoulders. I grew up bombing hills and that in Mossman, you know, I'm not, you know, I'm used to going fast down hills, but I was absolutely screaming as he came down to that bit after the servo, and it gets really hyper fast.
Because it's got like a little kink.
I was screaming at the top of my lungs, just going, ah! Like freaking. And Foxy's just whispering in my ear. And he's going,
It's crazy.
trust me.
Let's leave it at that.
Yeah, well,
We done?
I'm glad we didn't come off, because I reckon he would have just boogie boarded me into the road.
Foxy. Damn you, Foxy. All right, boys, let's leave it there. Mr. Gordo Auchinachie, everybody.